Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom, from movies, comics, TV shows, video games. We got you covered. I'm here. I'm Rob. As always, I'm here with Court.
Hi, Rob. I'm Dad.
And Court, today we're gonna save a universe.
We are gonna
and a streaming service.
We're gonna save a streaming service, a universe, ourselves. We're doing it all.
Yeah, so in the wake of all the absolutely crazy news coming out of Warner Media, we have decided to kind of do a little bit something different than we've done in the past 53 episodes, and we're just gonna have a nice little chat about what to do if you're Warner and HBO and the pitfalls of launching a streaming service in general, which I feel like are way out in the open now after all this stuff came out about Batgirl being canceled and The Flash not being canceled and a Supergirl show not happening, or a Supergirl movie not happening that was supposed to be happening, and a Green Lantern thing that may or may not be happening.
Don't think it's gonna happen.
And just a host of other things coming out of what is officially announced as an HBO Max and Discovery Plus merger that is going to coming next year. And man, we have several thoughts on that and many other things, especially as it pertains to the DC side of the HBO Warner kind of relationship and what that looks like in the future, because who knows?
Who knows?
But first, we do have some news, and unfortunately, we have another passing in the entertainment world. So Olivia Newton-John has passed away. Most notable for her role in Grease.
Right. Arguably
the best musical of all time.
I mean, it might be the most notable musical of all time. But again, just super sad to see. We never like doing any of these. So may she rest in peace. She gave us Grease. She's a Grammy Award winner, I believe, too. So just extreme talent just radiated from her across from John Travolta in Grease. So also, just a litany of other projects. So R.I.P. So sad that happened.
Yep,
again, it's never easy to do any of these.
No, she announced a battle with breast cancer. In 2017 and had been battling that, and then, unfortunately cancer sucks, as so many people in the world are familiar with. And John Travolta gave a very heartfelt tribute on Instagram. Obviously those two are synonymous with one another because of Grease. I mean, Summer Lovin' is one of
right.
the biggest songs of all time, and just so many other songs that she's famous for, including, Xanadu also.
Right.
I mean, you can't discount that. So just unfortunate. Olivia Newton-John lived to be 73. So long life, still not long enough.
Right.
And like I said, as you said earlier, there's no easy way to transition, but we do have a lot of news coming out of Marvel as it pertains to the Ironheart show.
Right.
So obviously we're going to be seeing this character, Riri Williams, in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It's going to serve as her debut, and then she will come to her own Disney Plus show in the form of Ironheart.
Right.
And we had known that Anthony Ramos had been casted, and there was a lot of mystery around who he could be playing, especially considering the kind of blurb that was released alongside the casting news that he would be kind of this important character in the furthering of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the speculation ran wild, and we now know that he's going to be portraying the Hood.
How do you feel? I know you're pretty upset about this.
So yeah, it's a little awkward news coming off of our Arrow episode that we did last week that the Hood has been cast, but this is obviously the Marvel character, the Hood, who is much more spectral in nature than say the Green Arrow is.
Right.
So what about the Hood?
What about the Hood?
Give us some Hooddom.
Don't know a lot about the Hood, if I'm being honest, but the Hood I know deals a lot more with the mystical side of the MCU and the sell of this show through the rumors that there's been a couple of leaks from this show, or rumors, or whatever you're going to take it as. One of the things being the Hood's going to be this kind of mystical figure that goes up against Ironheart. So the whole kind of theme of the show is going to be magic versus technology, which is
very cool concept.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a really cool concept to play off of. And then it always just brings me back to that Thor line in the first Thor, where he's just like magic is just science that you just haven't discovered yet. So that's going to be a pretty cool aspect. Another rumor is that Catherine Hahn is going to come back as Agatha Harkness to be kind of, alongside with him. And then our buddy, Han Solo Jr.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yes.
Who's also an Oppenheimer.
Who is also an Oppenheimer. I was right.
Yeah.
So the other rumor is that he is playing Obadiah Stane's son, Zeke Stane, which is going to be pretty cool. Just, a disgruntled son of a hero's arch nemesis.
Not just any hero.
The Iron Man. Tony Stark, you are the worst.
He just keeps creating problems from beyond the grave.
That kids need to fix.
Yeah. But no, I'm I was intrigued by this show already, but I think I'm even more intrigued based on the premise of this kind of magic versus technology thing. It's a cool concept. So.
Right. No, I think this is going to help to sell a little bit. I mean, having Catherine Hahn back as Agatha Harkness, I think is going to help that as well. And again, just from the She-Hulk stuff that we've been seeing, these Disney Plus shows are really starting to pick up steam as being like lived-in universe Marvel shows instead of its own outside of Loki and kind of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, these kind of, big, broader spectrum Avengers level threats that could be happening. And even if we're getting into the smaller aspects, these different characters are going to start to be explored. And I mean, having Agatha Harkness in there as well is definitely going to bring out the more mystical side of the MCU. I wouldn't be surprised if, like they said, if Anthony Ramos is going to be somebody that's going to be used in the MCU for the future, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being like a villain for like the Midnight Suns, to have them have like a main villain. I think that would be a good concept.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And I mean, we don't know what Marvel's plans are for the Midnight Suns. There's obviously been a lot of Moon Knight talk the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And is it happening? Is it not happening? We don't know.
I think it's happening.
It's probably happening, but who knows? Right. I mean, as the DC side of things has shown, everything is constantly in a state of flux.
Right.
So, I'm looking forward to it. So Prey is good.
Prey is real good. That's what I've been hearing, that this movie is just
I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet, but I've heard it's really, really great.
Yeah, which is just, it warms your heart from a franchise that's been alive for how many years? It's been, 40 years ish since Predator came out. So this just, it looks amazing. There's been just so much great fan reception, a lot of great callbacks I've heard from this movie, so I couldn't be happier. I'm definitely going to check it out this weekend, so I just can't wait to get back into this franchise, and I'm just glad that this is like, it's the Mission Impossible, it's the Top Gun thing, which we're going to talk about right after this. It's making sure you don't get stagnant with your franchise, and making sure you're keeping fresh blood in it, and you're doing new ideas, which you're still, paying homage to the originals too. That's just, it's a recipe for success.
Yeah, and this was just a cool concept. Like I think I saw a post on Twitter. I don't remember where it was from, but it was like, just do this with every action horror franchise. Right. Just like put these monsters, these characters in different time periods. Right, yeah. And just like, what if aliens, but in medieval times?
Aliens in medieval times would be phenomenal. That'd be
amazing. Just play around with what you have and create unique and new interesting stories with different groups of people and see where it takes you, because it could take you to the heights of what this movie has given us, which is, kind of nuts for a, like a Hulu original.
Right, yeah.
That's the other thing, too.
This is the most watched Hulu original in their history of the streaming service, which is incredible. So, good. Hats off to you, Hulu. Keep making these. Keep doing that. You saw Not Okay?
I didn't.
That's been the other big thing.
Yeah?
Dylan O'Brien's back.
Your guy.
That is my guy. It's funny, because I'm actually going to talk about him later in this DC section, but we'll get there. All will be revealed as Apocalypse.
In due time.
As Apocalypse said in X-Men Apocalypse.
So you did mention our guy, Tom Cruise.
Our new guy. He got added to the whiteboard. Honorary whiteboard member.
He bullied his way on there.
Yeah, he did bully his way on
through the sheer force of Top Gun.
Of $1 billion. $1 billion will buy your way onto our whiteboard.
And you know what's better than $1 billion?
More Tom Cruise?
More billions of dollars. Yeah. Because that's apparently what Tom Cruise is envisioning in his future. Is He's partnering up with Christopher McQuarrie.
My guy.
Your guy. Yeah. Your other guy.
Yeah. Those are my guys. Let me make a movie for them.
And he's apparently going to develop just heaps of projects.
All the projects. So Paramount is probably like pumping their fist in the air in excitement for them going to just have $1 billion every movie that comes out. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to underestimate Tom Cruise after Top Gun.
No, me either. But,
Right.
Careful, Tom Cruise.
Right. So yeah, I mean, this is a big chunk that he's trying to bite off because he still needs to finish this Mission Impossible franchise. I don't think they're going to touch Top Gun after that. I think it ended the way it was supposed to. I wouldn't touch that project, hopefully ever again. I'm a big believer in when it doesn't need to be reignited, it shouldn't have to be, just for money's sake. So just leave it alone.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal ending to that franchise. I think we're going to get a phenomenal ending to Mission Impossible's franchise with Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2. And now we are on to the Tom Cruiseverse in Paramount. So what are they saying?
So he's going to space.
He's going to space.
Finally.
That one was the one that got me immediately excited. I mean, twice. Can't forget about Oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
Underrated, in my opinion.
But he's going to actually go to space probably in this one.
Oh, no. Tom, don't do it.
He's going to do it. That's
Tom.
the last frontier he has to conquer.
Is get to space?
Is go to space.
Has he been underwater? Like, deep underwater?
Ooh,
He was, like, underwater in that one scene in Mission Impossible, but I'm
Yeah.
talking, like, the depths of the ocean underwater.
He'd probably have to partner with James Cameron.
I was going to say
that.
the same thing. They got to get together and figure this out. But, yeah, so he's going to go to space in a space epic that him and Christopher McQuarrie are going to create. I don't know if Christopher McQuarrie is going to direct that one. I just know they're kind of collaborating on the process on all of these of, the creation. I just know for some of them they're going to have, like, specific people do them. But I wouldn't be surprised if Christopher McQuarrie just steps in the director chair. I also will not be surprised if Tom Cruise steps in the director chair for one of these.
Yeah, this what else is... Well, before I make my point, we'll rattle off these other things that he's doing. So there's a Tropic Thunder spinoff.
Yeah, we're getting a Tropic Thunder spinoff with his character from that movie. Hilarious. Can't wait to see that. We're getting a Tom Cruise musical. I have one way to say this. You get Damien Chazelle to do it, and you can do this.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Todd Phillips hasn't proved himself with this Joker spinoff, with the Joker sequel, so
yeah.
We don't know yet.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which I thought was interesting, was an action movie with franchise potential.
Sure, I'm for it. I'm foreseeing that.
Yeah. So I guess my point is, it feels like he is reaching to the point of his career where he knows it's coming to a close.
Yeah, it's producer time for him.
And he just wants to pump out as much as he can.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about that because he has always been very selective when it comes to what he does and what he doesn't do when he does them. And, I think Top Gun was the perfect example of that. Like, he nailed it at, like, the perfect time when he needed to do it, and then he did it. Mission Impossible, the same thing, like, resurrecting that franchise when he did, back when this kind of new crop of Mission Impossible movies was happening. And I'm curious if that's going to be the case here, or if he's just cashing out.
I don't think he's cashing out because just the quote that stuck with me over the weekend was the Tarantino quote. He saw Top Gun Maverick and he was just like, I never thought I'd get that feeling in a theater again.
Right.
And it stuck with me the whole week. And the reason I say that is because I think this new age of Tom Cruise, Christopher McQuarrie collaborations are going to be with the express purpose of turning back on the movie going experience, and I couldn't be happier about that. I think this is such an underrated thing that's kind of got lost in this modern age, is going to the theater and succumbing to the theater. I saw this on some other podcasts over the week of, we're so much in control of the movie going experience versus we don't succumb to movies as much as we used to because we can just watch them on our phones. We can kind of control, like, if we skip certain parts, but the movie going experience itself, I hope this comes back to fruition. I mean, the two movies from this year for me were Everything Everywhere All at Once and Top Gun Maverick are like, it gives me faith in the movie theater and what the movie theater can do. So I hope this new age of Tom Cruise, this kind of swan song final act to his career, it seems like is just going to bring that to the forefront and to the fruition.
And maybe that's his mission.
It's his mission and it could be impossible.
So we do have some Cobra Kai news because that show is still a thing,
and it's coming out in 1 month from today.
Yeah, season 5. And
who would have thought?
I know, right?
5 seasons of the show.
We've talked about this before. How it started as this like almost like grungy like YouTube TV show.
Yeah, this campy, stupid, small YouTube TV show that Johnny Lawrence came back for, and then lo and behold, it just. When that show was hot, it was hot. It was the most popular show.
And then everyone was like, "Wait, is this good?"
Yeah. And then season 2 came out, and they're like, "Wait a minute."
And then Netflix was like, wait, is this good?
Yeah.
We want this.
Yeah, can we have this?
Give
YouTube
this.
TV?
Give it.
We know you're not going to stick with this YouTube TV.
It's the meme, like the meme of like YouTube TV holding Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Going, I made this.
Yeah, I made
And then Netflix takes this and they're like, I made this.
But no, so the big thing is Sean Kanan is coming back as Mike Bards. So if
From the critically acclaimed Karate Kid 3.
Yep. It was a movie. It was a movie. Who else you want to see come back for? I mean, there's only one person you can really get back to come for Karate Kid.
I mean, I would love... I mean, they gotta... I don't know. I don't know. I can't believe this show is the thing.
5 seasons in. It's insane.
Like, this is legit compelling TV.
It is legit compelling TV.
And now they're bringing characters back from Karate Kid 3.
Oh, we're in the bag now. We're in the bag.
That's like if Rocky brought Tommy Gunn back.
We gotta get Hilary Swank in here, right?
Yeah. That's the big
She's
get.
doing stuff again.
Yeah, that's the big get.
She did that movie like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That Netflix movie.
Yeah. She's on Netflix.
Yeah. Just go to work. Just go to your office.
Go find Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio will show you the way.
Oh man, Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Then the last bit of news before we get into our big powwow about streaming services is so the producer behind Sonic, which admittedly I really like.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And I thought the second one was better than the first one. And so first things first, they're making a Pac-Man movie in a I guess a similar vein to how they made Sonic. So potentially a like a cartoon CGI Pac-Man, but in the real world.
You know, I got an idea. Get the guys that did Tron to do Pac-Man.
Oh man.
It would be perfect. Get like this super gritty-esque, big, beautiful looking CGI world, but with Pac-Man.
So I don't know what that looks like.
I know Chris Pratt's gonna be Pac-Man. He already kind of was Pac-Man in Guardians 2. Just have him be Pac-Man. He's just collecting all the game rolls.
Yeah. And Garfield. But so that's happening. But more importantly than that, Sonic 3 is going to go head to head with Avatar.
Yeah. Whatever the Avatar 3 is going to be called, which I guess we'll find out in a couple months, whatever. Sonic 3 said, yeah, we're going to do this. And I like the idea of these movies. Hey, I'm calling it now. I called it when these streaming services started coming in and started just pumping out original content like 2017, 2018, 2019. I called it that was going to be the future. This new future, I think, is having movies go up against each other in movie theaters. That's the future of cinema. That's what we got to start doing. We got to turn these into boxing matches.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see it in not a few months, but next year we're going to see it with Barbie and Oppenheimer.
What if they both make $1 billion? Be incredible.
So we're going to see that. And then that Avatar sequel surely is not coming out on time, right?
Is it not?
I don't know. Is it?
What if they shot both at around the same time, or they just didn't stop shooting?
I don't know, man.
If that movie comes out on time, boy.
And it goes head to head with Sonic 3?
I just don't know who's going to win.
Which I really liked, the second one.
Yeah.
So Sonic's actually got a head on Avatar right now?
Yeah, it's got a hedgehog on Avatar right now.
Boy. Because Sonic 2 actually came out.
Yeah,
and Avatar 2's not out yet. So, right for now, Sonic's in the lead by default.
In the lead by default is hilarious.
Sonic 2, objectively the better sequel right now than Avatar 2.
Hey, it could be.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's great in that movie.
That's what's hilarious is all I need to do is show you the Way of the Water trailer, and your mind's gonna change. It's one of the best trailers I've ever seen.
Sonic had some good CGI.
Sure, it just wasn't Avatar.
He fought a giant robot at the end.
He did, but it just wasn't.
How many giant robots do you find in Avatar?
Actually, a couple.
Not giant robots.
They were robot. They were people.
It was a guy in a mech suit.
Yeah. Who's coming back?
And Sigourney Weaver's their daughter?
Yep.
I can't wait for that movie.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right.
What's going up against that this year? Shazam.
Shazam's gonna get crushed.
No. Not only is he gonna get crushed by this, but then in the next movie he's gonna get crushed by The Rock.
Oh, no.
You knew this was coming, Pete.
Oh, no. All right. So I guess that's the perfect segue into our discussion topic.
Yeah.
So this kind of spawned because of the whole Batgirl situation, which the more we've learned about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
So did you come across any time that this has ever happened ever with like a big budget movie like this?
I haven't seen this. Like, this was a $90 million movie that they just said, we're good.
That was done.
They shot the movie. And here's the thing. What was said about this is that it tested the same that Black Adam tested.
Yep.
Before, and this was before Black Adam had gone through its reshoots. So my question is, well, I know why that is. It's because of Dwayne Johnson. That's why that Black Adam's getting made and Batgirl's not getting made. But yeah, it's just, if it tested the same way, then would you not have even the slightest bit of confidence in this movie?
Would you not just put it on your streaming service?
Yeah, it's a no harm.
Worst comes to worst.
Yeah, just put it in theaters and put it on your streaming service. What's the harm in, even if you make $200 million, at least you made, all you got to do is make your money back, and just count, because still for these movie companies that's a loss. Like, if you get your money back, that's still, it's not a loss in money, but it's a loss because you didn't profit anything.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just release the movie. It's the same directors as Miss Marvel episode 1 and 6, who had a big piece of the show, and
who we talked about those being like our favorite episodes of that show.
Yeah, right. So
the first one and the sixth one.
Yeah. So it's just a very peculiar situation as to why this movie was canceled. Leslie Grace seems like a great energy, like high energy person that would have been great as Barbara Gordon. I was believing it from those set photos. They robbed us of Brandon Fraser.
Yeah. Brandon Fraser was going to be Firefly.
I'll never forgive them for that.
Part of the Fraser Renaissance.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Michael Keaton was supposed to be in this.
Right. We even got the set photos of Michael Keaton on set. Which,
how do you waste Michael Keaton?
Well, I mean, so let's get into the thing. Okay. This is the big piece of the current state. It's the Flash. It's not specifically Ezra Miller, which we do have to talk about them in a second. Yes. We can't not at this point.
Yeah.
But this is
We've been avoiding it.
Yeah. This is my prevailing theory. So this Flash movie was supposed to reset the DCEU. When was this Flash movie supposed to come out?
2013-ish.
Jeez.
No. That's when it was announced.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in 2018.
Still.
Yeah. Whatever. What was the original date of this movie?
Oh, Jesus, I don't remember.
Like last year or something, or this year?
Yeah. Well, it got the first teaser trailer at the first fandom.
In
2020.
Jeez.
And everything that was shown at that fandom has come out.
Right.
Because the Batman was teased at that first fandom.
Both Batman.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, so this is the thing. This movie was supposed to, just from, like, you saw that huge plot leak, like they had the full plot leak from the beginning to end of that movie. It had a whole bunch of crazy stuff in there, so I guess spoilers if you don't want to hear that. Rob will probably time code this, but apparently he was supposed to, like, that other Flash was just supposed to be the reverse Flash, I'm pretty sure. I think we had what was the plot? Supposed to revolve around Zod coming back? Yep. And, like, Zod killing Superman in that universe instead when he was a baby?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And the universe isn't this a Flash movie?
Yeah, exactly.
At least we got Michael Shannon back, but probably not, because this movie's probably never going to come out.
Who knows? I mean, like, I understand that kind of prevailing thought, but do you need an in-universe movie to reboot your universe?
Nope.
Why can't you just reboot the universe and don't ask questions?
Because, I mean, it's because of Marvel, if you really want to get into it.
But they don't have to compete with Marvel.
Exactly. That's the point I feel like we were going to talk about later. There doesn't need to be this competition. I say it all the time. DC has this unbelievable advantage. It's two things. It's one, they don't have to worry about rights to any of their characters. They don't have to worry about... They have the rights to all their characters. They can do whatever they want. And two, and the more important one, they have the archetype superheroes. They have Superman. They have Batman. They have Wonder Woman. They have the Flash. Like, just those four alone can get you a lot. Then on top of that, you have Green Lantern, you have the Teen Titans, you have the New God. Like, you have so many properties that you can have. You can probably have a successful... Maybe that's what Tom Cruise's movie is. It's the Green Lantern movie, and he plays Hal Jordan. Maybe that's
Imagine the movie where he goes to space.
Oh, that would be sick.
What a reveal.
What a reveal that would be. That would be absolutely incredible.
I'm back in. I'm back in on DC.
Yeah.
If they pull that off.
Just get Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise will save you.
But yeah, so... Oh, man. So... this Flash thing. So Ezra Miller is they just keep getting worse. And I would, like, it's almost like Ezra Miller is pushing, like, not on purpose, obviously, but, like, what else needs to be done before they're like, DC and Warner Brothers is like, enough. Like, enough is enough. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're willing to do this to your Batgirl project, and you're, like, the whole idea that it's done and stuff, it doesn't hold weight anymore because of what they did to Batgirl.
Right.
Like, it doesn't hold weight anymore.
Yeah, like Zola Maridueña's Blue Beetle movie, who knows if that's going to get released. The Supergirl movie is essentially done. The Green Lantern...
And she's in the Flash.
She's in the Flash movie. The Batgirl, or sorry, not the Batgirl, what else? The Green Lantern franchise that they were talking about, which they were going to do the Green Lantern Corps, done. Like, all of these projects are done. So
it seems that way. I mean, they're saying no. Like, they're saying that the Green Lantern Corps is still happening. They're saying there's a Constantine show being developed that's still happening, apparently.
Right. It's some of the projects that they're still, like J.J. Abrams. What was he doing? He was doing
Justice League Dark.
Yeah, like that's still
apparently happening.
Right.
But you see, this is the thing with DC. They say these things. Mm-hmm. That's what they've been doing for years. Is they say we're doing this, and then they never do it.
Right.
Or they forget about it. Do you remember when the Flash movie was supposed to be a Flash and Cyborg movie?
Yeah, it was. It was the original. It was just supposed to be more or less a buddy cop movie. Like, which would have been cool. Just have him, like, have the backdrop of the emotional core being him and, him trying to get his father out of prison, introduce Reverse Flash, whatever you want to do. Introduce the Rogues. Maybe just have some fun. Didn't happen.
Right.
Didn't happen. I'll never forget when they announced this was going to be Flashpoint. I was like, we're doing Flashpoint now? Why are we doing Flashpoint as the first thing you're going to see him solo?
Yeah, and then... maybe they were better off just doing what they did, because now they have an actor that they absolutely cannot use again after. Oh yeah, after this
there's no way Ezra Miller is ever going to be in a DC property ever again.
No,
maybe not in a movie ever again.
No, I mean they're spearheading. They're a big part of the Fantastic Beasts franchise as well. Can't imagine that happening either. No. Like this is craziness that's going on. There's what is it? A felony charge now in Vermont. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know they were in Vermont.
Right.
And now there's rumors of just a cult.
Yeah.
A cult? Like, what is happening?
I don't know.
And apparently, like, nobody's reaching out to Ezra Miller. Well, nobody's trying to help.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Why? You're one of the biggest companies in the world. You're just gonna kind of ignore this
and not just that, you're going to still promote this movie and put it out?
I don't know how there's any type of promotion on this movie. I wouldn't be surprised if this movie comes out, if it releases on HBO Max instead of in theaters, because I don't know how you sell this in theaters for people to go. I don't know if it's like, it's the whole spectacle piece where people are going to see it for the sake of...
Yeah, but do you want that?
No, you don't want that. I would never want that. You're in a time where you don't have a definitive Batman. We've heard about all the hardships that everybody's had with the Warner lot versus Zack Snyder. Like, this universe is predicated on so much negative energy.
Yeah. And then, there's also the business side to all this. So the whole reason that this is happening is basically a money thing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a tax recoup essentially for Warner Media, which is gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the whole thing that this is predicating on is HBO Max is combining with Discovery Plus, which Discovery Plus is kind of a lower tier kind of streaming service. They offer your HGTV shows, mm-hmm. Your 90 Day Fiancés, your reality based television.
What about a 90 Day Fiancé but with Bruce Wayne?
That'd be fun, where he dates Talia al Ghul for 90 days.
He just dates different love interests of him for 90 days.
Imagine a DC 90 Day Fiancé. Like a fictional one,
mm-hmm.
like the HBO produces.
That's something that the boys would do.
But so these two streaming services are merging, and because of that merger, Warner's like, hey, we have these two things, right? We have HBO Max, which is for the bros.
I saw that meme.
But it's not a meme though. Like that, they actually. Was the actual promotion, like male-driven, like fandom, like mm-hmm. Game of Thrones and
DC, your comics, yeah,
manly stuff.
Mm-hmm. Weird,
because I'm pretty sure there's a heaps of women out there that enjoy those things also.
But Warner Brothers doesn't know about this.
And then maybe that's why they canceled the Batgirl movie. They're like, woman superhero.
Yeah, this won't sell. Yeah, unbelievable.
And then Discovery Plus is like the fun, like homemaker streaming service for women. Women enjoy that stuff. Like, look, man, I watch a 90 Day Fiancé every now and then.
A woman can't watch Game of Thrones? Arya Stark pulled off the greatest game winner in Game of Thrones history against the White Walkers.
So that's a flawed strategy right off the bat.
Yep.
I think they coined it fandom and genre-dumb is like what they're mastering.
Jeez.
And they're shooting themselves in the foot.
They really are.
Because, I don't know if you know this, HBO Max is great.
Yeah, HBO Max. I remember HBO Max was rivaling Netflix. It was rivaling everything when it came out. And I always said they have this rare thing where they had their DC properties. Everything was on there. It was going right on there. However long since the movie would come out in theaters, they had Harry Potter. They had Game of Thrones, which was the biggest thing. Like, they had Euphoria, which was the biggest thing. Like,
is the biggest thing.
It is the biggest thing. Like, when Euphoria is out, people are watching it. Like, they have all these things, and then on top of that, their classic movie section is one of the best curated ones because they have Turner Classic Movies. So they have the advantage of having just these absolutely amazing collections. Like, they had the Kurosawa collection for a while. They had the Hitchcock collection for a while. Like, these...
They had Mortal Kombat.
They had Mortal Kombat. They had Kong vs. Godzilla. They had it. They had everything they needed. They had Alfred Hitchcock and Kong. They had everything that they ever could have asked for.
And, you know, a lot of people enjoy all the stuff that HBO Max has been providing, and now they're just...
They had Dune.
Yeah. And now, so that's another thing that they're going to be done with. So they were the first, I mean, Marvel and Disney kind of they kind of did it with Black Widow.
It was like a catch-22 for them.
They kind of did it with Black Widow,
right.
But these guys at HBO and Warner committed to this idea that we're going to go day and date for our entire 2020 movie slate on HBO Max and in theaters same day, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And now they're doing a total 180 from that.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not even a thing.
Yeah.
We're not even that's not even happening, like, period. Like,
right.
You see it in theaters or you don't see it at all.
Right.
That's crazy.
It is. Yeah. Their whole business strategy changed. And I mean, the question when it was happening was like, well, why do I need to go to a movie theater to see this? And I always have my opinion on the movie going experience, but if that's the case, then why were you even in the first place had that idea? But it was working. People were going on HBO Max because they didn't have to go to the theater to see a movie. Like, you can be in the comfort of your home and watch this new movie that just came out. Like, it was working.
And I don't want to get into the Zack Snyder side of things, but if this had been their business model to start with, we would have never seen that movie.
Oh, no.
They weren't going to put that in theaters.
Oh, no, absolutely. It would have been too much of a loss to put in theaters.
So what would have happened?
Never would have got made. And that's the question. And this brings up the Batgirl piece. Like, why not just put this movie on HBO Max? Just finish it and put it out.
Right.
It just, I feel like it's not a difficult concept.
And, like, in a weird way, it almost feels like now that this is going to be their new business model going forward, it feels kind of awful in retrospect that they did what they did with these other movies.
Yeah, so because I remember the thing, well, this was a big reason why Christopher Nolan left Warner Brothers, because he was just like, you guys aren't just going to drop my movies on streaming services. Like, people... Not
just that, but now you're not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
Now you're doing the total opposite of what you did a few years ago.
Yeah.
You're gonna totally commit to the theater experience when you weren't willing to do that the first time. And one of your big selling points to get people to sign up for HBO Max was the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first things they announced.
Right.
Like, this is coming to HBO Max. If that wasn't your business model at the time, like, that movie's not coming out. Like, you almost in essence used Zack Snyder to bump your streaming service.
Yeah. It just, like, that's a great way to put it, used. I feel like they've been using people for the last two and a half years.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like really unsettling to see how their treatment of people and, like...
And now a bunch of people have lost their jobs.
Right, it was like a 70% layoff, which is
because the services are combining, so you obviously don't need that big of a workforce.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy.
I can't think of any... Remember when the Black Widow stuff was happening? That was a gigantic deal. That Black Widow stuff in retrospect is, like, just inconsequential compared to the size of this.
And it's weird because that was only a big deal because Scarlett Johansson made it a big deal.
Right. Which, I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah.
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 But it just isn't like this. Like, this is... No. People are losing their jobs. People that have worked at, like, create, like... Looking at, like, a creative lose everything that they've done just because
months on it.
Just because some businessman says, we don't need this to come out. It's just...
insane.
It's just so sickening and so disheartening that that's the case.
Like, they, we're both kind of creative writers and stuff like that. Like, you have to conceptualize the film.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You have to write the film. You have to write the film several times.
Yeah, you have to cast the right people in these roles, people that are busy, people that are established actors. You have to get directors to do this. There's so many minute details that go into the making of these things.
And it's a big budget movie.
It is.
It's not like an indie movie that, like, takes, like a month or two.
Yeah, like, they got Michael Keaton for this movie. Like, this was a big... it wasn't like a massive budget, but that's $90 million. Like, that is a big chunk of change to spend on a movie, just not to release it.
Yeah, and then
maybe this is a money laundering front. I've been watching Daredevil all day, so that's how my brain's been working. Just something's got to give. This is something so weird about this whole situation. And then the audacity to double down on the DC being your top tier moneymaker, and we're gonna talk about that in a second, but.
Yeah, and there's just so many things about it that just are just awful. It's and again, I go back to why are you doing it with this thing but not doing it with this thing? Mm-hmm. Why the inconsistency?
Yeah, this is a very picky choosy type of situation that we're living in.
And it's not a great look to cancel the 2 female-led things. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I agree. 100%.
That's not. I mean, I don't want to suppose that those are the reasons, but it's not a great look.
It doesn't look good at all. So, very sad. I mean, Batgirl's I would consider Batgirl a pretty fan favorite cat. People like Batgirl. I feel like that movie would have worked.
Yeah, we've never seen her.
No, we've never seen her live action.
Except for Alicia Silverstone played her in Batman Forever. Was that Batman? Was that Batman and Robin, or was that Batman Forever?
Batman and Robin. Yeah.
Okay, but that's
a throwback.
You put that movie out.
Bat credit card. Never leave the cave without it. You guys said that this is a great idea that we need to get out, but we can't release a tried and true Batgirl movie. She had the purple suit.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Yeah,
and. Again,
they robbed us with J.K. Simmons back again.
It goes back to your point about, well, if the whole thing was that it tested poorly, but it tested the same as Black Adam,
then why was Black Adam being released and not this movie?
Why was Black Adam at Comic-Con?
Yeah, and not that, because I said it during the Comic-Con. I was like, it's just weird that those were the only 2 things.
Felt like something was missing.
Yeah, there was like a big chunk because then Marvel was just rattling and rattling and rattling and rattling, and we were like, so they just came with
Shazam and Black Adam,
2 projects that like. You think about the 7 main characters of the Justice League, like, none of them are there, but just Black Adam and Shazam.
And all this other stuff, again, has been pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Aquaman got pushed back again.
Remember at the beginning of the year, everything got pushed back, and we were like, wow, because they just had that new sizzle reel, and, like, it was Ezra Miller's Flash, it was Jason Momoa's Aquaman, who else
Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Robert Pattinson's Batman, I think Harley Quinn.
Do you remember when we watched the Batman and we saw that sizzle reel, and we were like,
wow,
whoa.
Yeah, they're doing something, like, something's about to happen.
And then everything got pushed back, and we were like, alright, that happens.
Yeah, and then now...
And then the Ezra Miller stuff started happening, and we were like, uh-oh.
And then this happened, and we're like, okay. It kind of makes sense why everything was pushed back.
Yeah, and if you so put your creative rein on, and if you're working for them, how can you trust that they're gonna do anything?
Yeah, I can't. Like, if I'm just like a writer or something, in like writers' rooms, and like you're like bounce from project to project, characters to characters, I wouldn't have faith in that my project is going to be released. I wouldn't want to. I possibly wouldn't even want to work for them to some capacity because
Nolan was ahead of the curve.
Nolan was ahead of the curve. He probably knew. See, this man knows his time. He went back. He went to the future. He talked to the scientists from the future in Tenet, and that's the reason he was trying to blow up the world. He was trying to blow up Warner Brothers. That's why he's trying to get this nuclear bomb for Oppenheimer.
He's going to drop it on Warner Brothers. So that's what I mean. Like, it's such a weird situation. It's such a bizarre situation, and it really hurts like the trust of like the whole thing. Like I said, they said all these things are still coming out, but are they?
Yeah.
Like James Gunn was like, Peacemaker's fine. And I'm like, is it?
Yeah, and you know what? I do think Peacemaker, but again, this is such a money. This feels like such a money-driven, corporate-driven thing. Which I'm not saying that Marvel's not, and they don't, because at the end of the day, everything's a business aspect. You need to worry
Marvel
about
has
money.
its own problems,
Right?
as
They
it
do
relates to
money and
money and visual effects artists and just artists,
right? But at the same time, it does feel like that's more creative, decision-based. Over because we're about to get an I Am Groot animated show in a couple days,
and at least with Marvel, if they say you're doing a thing,
that thing's getting done.
You're
for the most
doing
part.
the thing.
It's like a 90 to 95%. This thing's gonna get made.
Like everyone was panicking after Comic-Con and being like, "Well, where's Armor Wars?" Like
they're like, "Yeah,
it's happening. We just only have X amount of time."
Yeah, and we're like, we need to make,
and we still have D23
right?
To announce
yeah,
stuff.
And the D23 rumors are going crazy. What is that? September 10th, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Like the D23 is going. They said it's just wait. Like that's
what I
gonna be
mean.
the
So
thing.
like they had Comic-Con plus they knew they had D23. So like Comic-Con was more reserved for the stuff that's coming out immediately, within the next year or so. Like we have Black Panther, they had to get those projects.
Yeah, and Black Panther dedicated a lot of time from that panel as well.
Yeah, and they have to get the ball rolling on promoting these things.
Right.
They're coming out next year.
Yeah.
Whereas these other things, that's why they did their Phase 6 slate, and it was only three things.
Yeah, right. But the three things were like these
massive.
it was the biggest things you could have announced.
You can then suppose that D23 comes and they're going to fill out the rest of that slate, as well as expand on the other things that they announced for Phase 5.
Right.
So all that stuff is still happening. And, with DC, they can announce one thing and not... I mean, we talked about last week when we talked about Arrow with the Blue Beetle Booster Gold thing. That was a thing forever,
yeah,
and it never happened.
Right.
Right. To the point where you're like, well, what happened?
Wait, it did happen, kind of.
I guess.
Yeah, just Booster Gold. No, Ted Cord is whoever would have played Ted. Well, Zach Braff needed to have played Ted Cord.
Yeah, because we got Donald Faison as Booster Gold.
Right, it was the only thing that would have made sense.
But that's gone.
Yeah.
Like, how is the most... All right, so let me ask you, riddle me this, Batman. How's the most consistent thing that we've gotten from DC been the Arrowverse?
Yeah, the one thing that people love to make fun of and call it stupid and campy is the one thing that just kept true. And I think, for me, a big piece of it is just understanding what you are. They understood what they knew. They knew everything that people were saying. CGI's not great. It's campy. It's stupid. Legends of Tomorrow played into that 100%. They're just like, all right, you think this is where we're going to do the dumbest things you can ever think of, and people
we're going to be puppets.
We're going to be puppets for an episode. Remember that amazing Groundhog Day episode they had
with Zari?
Yeah, that show was just fun. Isn't just understated?
It was fun and just did. Remember when Gorilla Grodd was after Barack Obama?
Insane.
Remember when he said "Make America Grodd Again"?
Yep. Yep.
Barack Obama. I missed that. I missed that.
They just don't. They didn't care. They didn't care about anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, and they did some neat stuff on that show.
They did do some cool stuff.
Remember when Zari took Helen of Troy to Themyscira?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. But so you have all these you have Titans, which obviously is done. We're probably never going to see Titans again. What else do you have?
Harley Quinn. Which apparently they say season 4 is happening.
Right, yeah, the animated stuff I don't have doubts about because you don't really need to, you're not constrained by the universe thing because, again, the one thing that Crisis of Infinite Earths came out of is that it connected Titans and it connected the DCEU to the Arrowverse. Loosely.
But it's all you need.
It's all you need. You don't gotta go crazy. Spider-Man No Way Home didn't go crazy diving into the other two's universes. They just said, hey, they're here. Because multiverse, and that was it. That was it. Crisis had Ezra and said that was it. It's everything's in one multiverse, but everything's starting to collapse on itself. Cool.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do.
Yep.
Like I said, it's crazy to me that the Arrowverse is the most consistent thing that they've put out.
Right. And Superman and Lois is some of my favorite superhero content that it's like the most tried and true Superman that I've seen. It's just so refreshing.
Because they can't get the other one right on film. For some reason.
Right. And this is coming from somebody that, adores Man of Steel, and I thought that was a solid foundational piece, but after that... Well,
yeah, but then what happened?
Yeah. What did he do? What did he do to not be in any of these movies?
It just goes back to the problem that, we can go back to, the inception of this whole DC thing, which starts with Man of Steel.
Right.
And, I guess... you could have said maybe it started with The Dark Knight, and then people were like, oh,
Yeah, darker superheroes.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then they did Man of Steel, and then they were like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then Batman vs. Superman. Well, if you really want to get into it, I think Batman vs. Superman is the beginning of this.
Well, yeah.
Because it's the ideology.
It's the beginning of the disaster.
Yeah. And again, this
is the beginning of the end.
And this is coming from somebody that likes it more than you do, I think.
Probably, yeah.
So I'm like, I watch it for just superhero content.
But here's the thing with that, and this is why I'm always gonna be a little harder on this movie, is because what they were doing, they knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting Batman and Superman together for the first time ever in live action on screen.
Mm-hmm.
They should have known better than to do what they ended up doing.
And then you went as far as to get Wonder Woman as well. Like, you were biting off so much. Like, so much. Like, your third movie is the Justice League.
Yeah.
That's such a...
Without introducing 3 of the other characters.
Or your fourth movie, or whatever it is. But then again, like, the universe was so lived in without explanation. Like...
It was the 4th movie, but only 3 characters had been introduced.
Right. Yeah.
Other than brief moments.
Right.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, just a brave... Like,
I think we may have talked about it when we talked about Batman v Superman.
Oh, yeah, when we did that trilogy, yeah.
But this movie would have been like if they did the Avengers after Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk.
Right.
And they were like, hey, here's Captain America and Thor, and here's the Avengers.
Right, that's like them doing like they were like, here's Iron Man, and then here's the Incredible Hulk, and then here's the Thunderbolts, and then here's the Avengers. Like, that's a lot. Who are the Thunderbolts? Who are these people?
And yeah, that's really the genesis of it. And then they managed to sneak in a really good Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, they got a really cool movie, and then they got a really cool. I think they just got a no harm, no foul, pretty fun Aquaman movie, and then they got probably one of my more favorite superhero movies, which is Shazam. Like, it's almost like they were focusing on solo development of their characters, and it was working.
Yeah, and then inexplicable, and then it felt like they were starting to kind of get it.
Yeah,
a little bit. They were like, we're doing a Batgirl movie.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. But we were missing 2 people. There's 2 people that just are unmistakably missing from this whole thing. It's your 2 biggest characters. So, obviously, it feels like they didn't have... Zack Snyder was the only person in the universe that had the faith as the creator to get the 2 of them on screen. But after that, what do you do? Because they're both alike. You resurrected Superman, and then he's just never around. And Batman has this newfound hope for humanity that Superman helped him gain, and he's just never around. Like, where are they?
It's baffling. Mm-hmm. It's truly baffling, because what?
Yeah.
And then I guess we can go back, because another piece of this was, I guess that came out today, was that apparently Wonder Woman is going to be involved in several future projects.
Right, and I think
she's taking over for Batman. Because that was supposed to be Batman's role, apparently.
Yeah.
That was going to be Michael Keaton's role in this.
Yeah, so
that he was going to appear in multiple projects and kind of further the continuity of the grander DC universe. And now it's going to be put on Gal Gadot's shoulders, I guess.
Right, and I think that's also a response to Wonder Woman 84 not being well received. So instead of her getting a 3rd movie, I feel like they were just going to have her show up in these other movies. And now this episode really excited me, this concept of when we kind of form our own DCEU, because... Again, one thing that DC has is they have some of the greatest stories ever told, just period. Like, you have these grand stories from these grand writers and artists that just were incepted and just had these grand ideas, but it's not really a grand idea. It's just predicated on the gods amongst men. That's it. That's all this is predicated upon. Like, this guy that just watched his parents gun down an alley and decided, you know what? I'm going to make sure no other kid has to suffer the same thing. Like, this all-powerful God came to Earth and said, you know what? I'm just going to be another one of them, because I'm just going to give them hope. That's it. Same thing for Barry Allen. I'm just going to give them hope. Like, I love that line in Flashpoint at the end where Bruce says, like, I wish I was like Barry if my parents, like, his parents died and look how he turned out versus me. Like, those are the heroes you're working with. Like, that should be the thing that should be focused on. Like, Green Lantern, same thing. Like, Green Lantern has one of the greatest redemption arcs in comics. Like, you have such great characters, and they just can't seem to figure out. And what's the question that always gets asked? Like, Superman's the main focus of this. Can it play well in today's society? Yeah, it can.
Superman and Lois is doing it.
It did, like, the opening of season 1 encapsulated what the DCEU Superman couldn't over a prolonged period of time. Like, it just couldn't do it. Like, that idea of hope again, I absolutely love Man of Steel and thought it hit bits of it, but I'm talking over a prolonged period of time, just didn't get to it because it was so focused on that building of the Justice League.
Yeah, and just like they did the Spider-Man thing, but with Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Like the crazy thing about the Raimi movies and Spider-Man is like he packs all of Peter's trauma in 3 movies,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like he takes the most traumatic parts of Spider-Man's kind of story and packs them into these 3 films.
Right.
And like Man of Steel and Justice League and Batman v Superman did kind of the same thing for Superman.
Yeah.
Like we never got to see him properly be Superman.
No, he just opens his shirt at the end of the Shiner cut, and that's it.
Like we never saw him like save anybody
The only
other than Lois Lane.
Well, there was that, which again, and this was the thing. One of my favorite scenes from Batman vs Superman is after Lex Luthor's party where he leaves, and it's like he sets the little girl down in Mexico and he raises up, and they all have their like. That's it. That's what you had it.
But even that is framed in a way that presents a dichotomy.
Right.
That there's that people who see him that way, and then there's people who see him the other way.
Right.
Like there's always there's never like nobody in that universe can agree that Superman's a hero.
Right.
Which is bizarre.
Right, which would have been cool, like the way that
I get that that's the philosophy of the movie and like questioning like what heroism is, but like it shouldn't be that soon. Like we should have seen him be like truth, justice, and a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we never got it.
Right. True.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was such this predication on it needs to be a collision course to have his ideologies conflict with Batman's ideologies until they had a common enemy to fight, which they did. Which is simple in theory, that's a simple thing to do, but the thing that it didn't have was the foundation of the ideals of what these heroes were before in their universe. That's
Exactly.
what it was missing. Like, us as people know what Batman and Superman's ideologies were, but in that universe, there was the question mark over it the whole time. And I feel like it never was like, it was told to us, but I didn't feel it ever. Like, I didn't feel it.
What
Batman just turned. Like, he just 180'd.
And he was so anti.
Yeah. It was like, it didn't feel like...
It's the Martha moment.
Yeah, and especially for Bruce Wayne himself, like, to just make a 180 turn like that is just, it feels so drastic.
Yeah, it's either you thought you either think he's the monster that you think he is the whole time, or deep down you knew he was a good guy at some point. But that's never explained.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, you have to save my mom, and Batman's like, oh, shoot, I also have a mom.
Yeah.
Like, Batman's way more complex than that, and that's why, that's...
No, you're good. It's this one thing that I really love. You read, a good one to read is the new Justice League, or the 2012 Justice League Origins, like the issue 0 Origins. What's really great about that arc, I think Jeff Johns did that arc. What's really great about it is like Batman has this pensive nature to Superman. Like he's like, even after they become like, it takes so long for them to become like friends of friends, because Batman, he needs to be proven it, because he's seen people descend. Like he says it in Batman vs Superman, like how many people stay good? Like people don't stay good. Like I can't trust that this person that just has this infinite power is just going to stay good this whole time. Like in that, like the Justice League origin, like he's still like, after it happens, it's just like, I'm not like, okay, you saved people, you helped
That's Batman's whole deal anyway, is that he doesn't fully trust anyone.
No.
Not even himself.
Right. Like Jason Todd turned, like at that point, like Dick Grayson's dead, I think they said. Like his life is not great. Like he just has Alfred. That's the only person that he has. Like he doesn't have these friends, these allies. He's got nobody, it seems like.
So, I mean, this whole thing was on shaky foundation to begin with, but then, like we said, it felt like they were maybe starting to kind of get it. And, they got it, we talked about Shazam, we talked about Aquaman, Birds of Prey is pretty good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite DCEU movies. The Suicide Squad is probably
incredible.
It might be the best DCEU movie. Like, they were starting to figure out, like, what their niche was and, like, what was working for them. Yeah. And then they consumed themselves again with this big universe reset thing. Again, why was the first Flash movie you're doing the reset? I think it ultimately comes down to they put so many resources into this Flash film
over
this is
almost a decade.
Yeah, like one of the grandfathers of this superhero genre, because if you're to ask me, it's Christopher Reeves, it's Michael Keaton, it's Tobey Maguire, and it's probably Hugh Jackman in those X-Men movies are like the pillars of like what the foundations for superhero movies are. So you took one of those foundational pieces, you're like, all right, we're going to bring him back, but you're bringing back an almost 70-year-old Michael Keaton to play Batman. It's not even like he's like Batman beyond old man Bruce Wayne. Like, he was in the suit. Like, he was going to be the Batman in the universe, it's just concerning. Like, again, another piece of this is Ben Affleck himself. Like, Ben Affleck himself is a big part of this, like, because how long can he play Batman for without, like, breaking? Like, that's just,
well,
like...
he already broke.
Yeah, he did.
We already see that happen.
And it's so unfortunate because I really like... I do like Ben Affleck. Like, he's got a great creative mind. Like, I mean, he's an Oscar winner. Like, he's a great actor. Like, he's got so many things in his toolbox.
But it goes back to working with Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. Like, we saw this with
There's no stability.
We saw it with Ray Fisher.
Yeah.
And all the problems that he had working with... Well, more importantly, Joss Whedon. But
right.
Warner
Bad
Brothers...
guy.
Yeah, bad guy. But Warner Brothers on a whole, Ray Fisher also had a problem with. And that, again, I hate to bring it back to Marvel, but that's what makes them so unique and special is that they managed to have good relationships for the most part. Mm-hmm. I mean, they did smooth things over with Scarlett Johansson, but I think probably Ed Norton and Terrence Howard are the only two that really had problems.
But guess what? They're not. You don't have to worry about them anymore.
Yeah, because you didn't build your universe around them.
Yeah, guess what they did? They recasted them. And they were like, okay, it's not working. We got next man up.
Yeah.
And again, another thing that I think they do extremely well, don't gotta explain some stuff. Like, they pick the right things not to explain. Like, Ed Norton's Mark Ruffalo, cool. They don't need to explain it. Don Cheadle's Terrence Howard now, don't gotta explain that.
And the other thing that DC is making a mistake about is this idea of committing to a shared universe. Mm-hmm. We already know you're not committing to a shared universe because the Batman exists.
Yeah.
And Joker exists.
Not in the same universe. And then you have because again, the Arrowverse did Crisis, and then you said, all right, we're going to loan you Ezra Miller for a little bit, have them be the Flash on the show. They can meet Garrett Gustin's Barry Allen.
That scene is shot
like a
theatrically.
Movie. Yeah.
In a theatrical widescreen shot. Yeah. It's very jarring.
Yeah, I do think that it's we already said that. I don't think there's a question that Grant Gustin's going to be in that Flash movie, but it's just you went as far as to do that. Ezra Miller said in there, like, I knew this was possible. I told
Victor Sode.
Yeah, I told Victor this was possible. Like, you were saying, like, cool. At the sizzle reel at the end of Crisis had the Titans universe in it, had the Doom Patrol like, it had all these universes in there. Okay, this is all connected, but like you said, they know that's not true. They don't know if any of this is connected or not.
Yeah, so. And it's in a weird way, it almost like they want to forget that happened when, again, like I said, that's the most consistent thing that they put out.
Right.
Is that Arrowverse, right. And it's the one that at least tried to make things connected.
Right.
And then, so are they really gonna? It almost at this point, I'm not even sure. I think Grant Gustin will end up being in this Flash movie, but would you run the risk of him being in the movie and then everyone being like, well, why isn't this guy the Flash?
Yeah, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I probably would have said, cool, just do it like we've been saying. But at this point, I don't think that's an acceptable thing. The whole Warner Discovery thing just kind of upended the whole idea of even wanting Grant Gustin to be in there. Because he's gonna have an uphill battle as well. He's gonna get the people that love him, but he's gonna have a continuity uphill battle to fight when that happens. So I guess if we're talking continuity, that brings us to the fun part of this. Because I think unless you have any other thoughts on the Warner Discovery merger and the state of the DCEU.
I don't think so. I think just ultimately it's just this is the result you get when you have a company that clearly doesn't want to bother with having their creativity be first, and their properties be first. It's the bottom line is coming first, and then that's becoming more and more apparent. Like, I don't think you'd ever hear this come out of, like, Kevin Feige. You know what I mean? Where he's like, hey, man, I know we shot this and finished this, I don't know, pick a character.
I don't know, like this, like, let's just say the Storm show that we made.
Like, who's on par with, like, Batgirl, but in Marvel?
Right. I don't know, like, Batgirl, Marvel, like, Kitty Pryde. Let's just say, like, you made it, like, a cool little Kitty Pryde show running around for the X-Men. You made, like, this other X-Men show.
We shot it, we finished it, it's in production. but it's canceled.
Yeah, we're good.
Because we need a tax recoup.
Right.
Can you imagine what would happen if that happened with Marvel?
Insane.
And the backlash is already insane with this, but like it, what ultimately is going to come of it? Like what lessons are they going to learn?
Nothing. It's just, again, this is just...
Like, it's happening regardless.
Yeah, this is just businessmen doing businessmen things.
The only thing I can think of that possibly could recoup this is if down the road when this new streaming service is about to be launched and they go, one of the first things going on this new streaming service is the Batgirl movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can recoup this situation is if they combine these services, launch the new one, and they're like, they kind of do like the Snyder Cut thing, but with Batgirl. They're like, hey, like, we know we messed up.
Yeah, we messed up.
And so one of the first things coming to this new streaming service is going to be this Batgirl movie.
Because I think they were going to be in the movie to get, like, Batman and Supergirl were going to be in something together.
Yeah. So we're doing, here's this Batgirl movie. It's finished. We finished it. We got the directors to come back and finish the movie and edited it, and then here it is. Mm-hmm. Short of that, there's no way to recover from this.
No, I think the DCEU is shot. There's nothing, you can't save anything.
And now you're going to reboot it with this Flash movie with an actor that's horrible? That's in a horrible place?
Yeah. Not a great
That's
plan.
Not great either.
Not a great plan. So
what are they saving it with? Ben Affleck's back in Aquaman.
Right, like, but he's not going to be Batman, right? He's just going to be Bruce Wayne for a second. Like, I remember when I saw that picture, I was like, he's just going to do what he did in the post-credit scene of Suicide Squad. Like, he's not going to just
He's 100% going to mail it in.
Yeah, he's just going to be there for a second and then just be gone.
Because that felt like, as much as, like, you say it's, like, to compensate for the fact that the Flash got pushed back so you can't do Michael Keaton because it'd be too jarring, it's because they feel like they need a win.
Right.
So they're like, hey, Snyder nerds.
Mm-hmm. Here's Ben Affleck back.
For a thing.
But no Henry Cavill.
Right.
Ah.
All right, so yeah, let's.
Yeah, and in great words of the New Age Superman, truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. So we're looking for a better tomorrow from this DCEU. So we thought it would be cool to create our own DC universe and talk about some storylines that we want ahead. Maybe some people we want to make these movies, some actors we want to see in these movies. Just like a cool little hard reboot. There's nothing soft about this reboot. This is a hard reboot. This is a new DCEU. Maybe we keep some of the actors, maybe we don't keep some of the actors. Because multiverse. Like, anytime I think about actors being kept or actors being not kept, the answer is multiverse. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. What are you starting with? What's the very first thing you're doing?
I think, honestly, I'm building this I think I'm building my universe around the property that is the strongest, and that's the Batman. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing it with Robert Pattinson, and that's where I'm starting.
I think that would be a great idea. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
He would be my cornerstone and establish, and it doesn't, see, this is the problem, this is the mistake they made, is they took Man of Steel and made that tone the tone for the entire thing. Mm-hmm. The Batman can have its own tone and then elevate to something else. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's where I would start. I would start with Robert Pattinson's Batman. I'd start with the sequel. I'd start with the Batman 2 because my universe would be predicated on the fact that the Batman, everything else is eradicated from memory. We Men in Black style just mind wipe everybody's memory of anything DC related besides the Batman. Like, pretend the Batman is Iron Man. Like, the Batman's Iron Man 2008.
Right.
That's the first movie, and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Right.
So
did something right.
Yeah. You did something right. Your first movie out of the gate is critically acclaimed. This really kind of auteur kind of masterpiece that, if you want to differentiate from Marvel, it does that, but also has just enough comic booky in it that you could see it going other places. Right. And that would be my foundation. And then I probably wouldn't do Superman next.
Interesting. I like that. That's cool.
I would hang on to that, and I would probably, I debated this. I feel like I would want to do The Flash, but have it be Wally West.
Interesting. That was something that I also thought about, because I'd had this theory for a while that would have been cool just because I remember when Ezra Miller was cast as Barry Allen, I was like, they feel a lot more like Wally West than Barry Allen. So something that I felt would have been cool is that if Ezra Miller's character was just saying they were Barry Allen, but they truly were Wally West because Barry Allen had been lost in time. So that's a really cool concept.
Mm-hmm. So I think I would do, and that segues because ultimately what my Flash kind of through line would be is it would end in, and not end with, but it would culminate in Flash Rebirth.
Okay, that was the storyline I had hit on here. Like, that was a big piece.
And I would reintroduce, I would bring Barry Allen in, and I would use Grant Gustin.
Awesome. I like that.
As like, boom, Barry Allen. It's a Barry Allen. Like, you can do Flash Rebirth, in my opinion, with a Barry Allen that people are familiar with. Mm-hmm. Because you do a Wally West that maybe people aren't familiar with, and then you do a Barry Allen that people know, so that it kind of mirrors the comic.
KJ Apa. See what they've been doing on Riverdale?
Bro. Speaking of time travel. Sheesh. Oh, man, Riverdale. Crazy.
Yeah. So how are you splitting this? Are you doing, like, phases or parts, or are you just making movies and seeing where the future takes you?
I think that's probably what I'm doing. I think I'm making, like, I would probably try to get properties out for like your group. Mm-hmm. Like whoever your group is, get your movies out for your group. And then you cross over like one or two of them. And then because of the tonal difference of the Batman versus everything else, I would lean into that, not just like theatrically, but also like in story. Like mm-hmm. I would make it so that he's the last piece to kind of get on board. You know what I mean? Like you form kind of a Justice League in like subsequent films, mm-hmm. and then everyone's like, but what about him?
That's kind of how the New 52 kind of went about it. Like Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Flash, they were already established. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Superman was the last one to be like, because they, at that point when the Justice League formed in the New 52, he was known as the alien from the other world that they didn't know that they can trust, which Zack Snyder probably took a little bit from Man of Steel. So.
Yeah, so I would definitely, that would be how I assemble my, because ultimately you do want to assemble the Justice League because mm-hmm. you need your $1 billion spectacle film.
You just can't not, yeah, right.
But that would be my through line is mirroring the tone with kind of the in-universe reasoning. Like, how do we get Batman to join the Justice League? And I think Robert Pattinson would be good being like this apprehensive, like, no. Mm-hmm. Nope. Absolutely not. Right. I don't want any part of your craziness. I got enough issues here, right. And I don't want to do it. And then that ultimately is where Superman comes in. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where I fit Superman into this, but I know I would want him to be like the piece that kind of gets Batman on board. And then you have like your world's finest parent.
That'd be cool.
Where like they kind of start on its apprehensive terms, but like Batman can notice like all the things that Superman's doing and being like, all right, Superman, I'm apprehensive, but I'll help out. Mm-hmm. Kind of like how the Justice League Unlimited cartoon is, where like Batman for like a bit of it isn't really in the Justice League. Mm-hmm. Like he's just kind of like helping out.
Right.
That's how I envision it. Where like cool. Batman's like, I'll help you guys out, but I'm not in your group. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to be on your team. I don't want help from you guys, but I'll help if, like, the world's at stake.
Right.
So that's kind of where I would be.
That's kind of cool. So the way I started was I thought I just think that Superman is such this hopeful piece, and you play into that. I've said it before, the ending of Spider-Man No Way Home is probably some of my favorite Spider-Man content. Same thing with the opening, not the opening Amazing Spider-Man 2, but the Spider-Man opening to the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, build a movie based off that feeling that you get from these heroes. So have this brand new Superman. I think for mine, I'm going hard. Everybody's new. Like, everybody's new. Okay. And then the piece that I wanted to hold off until is that Robert Pattinson's Batman takes place on Earth 2. So you do he still is this multiverse, because a big piece of this is, as much as we talk about the Marvel multiverse, DC's multiverses, that's the selling point for them. Like, that's a big piece, having Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth Prime. So my whole thing is we're starting over with Batman. We're going Batman year one. We're going Superman year one. We're kind of growing with him. Like, same thing that Man of Steel. It's not too different. Like, you're kind of growing up with him, but kind of a little bit more in the vein of Christopher Reeve's Superman, Brandon Routh's Superman, and Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. Just that hopeful nature kind of, seeping through this whole thing, I think would be just a good foundational piece. And then I had an interesting choice. Jeff Johns himself he was like the golden guy of DC Comics. Like, he was writing everything. He was writing all these characters. So my favorite comic arc from DC is the Green Lantern, is Jeff Johns' run, the 100-something issue run. So I'm starting kind of with Hal Jordan is another big piece to it, because it's going to culminate later into like this kind of almost Civil War-esque crossover event when you get to Blackest Night later down the road. But I'm getting Glenn Powell to play Green Lantern. That's just I think that's a genius choice. He already kind of did it. Just do it more. So you get Green Lantern, you get Wonder Woman, and then you get Flash, and that's where you kind of stop. And then I think Batman would be, you kind of shelve him for a little bit, and then him kind of being the one that's like, I kind of reversed mine from yours, like him kind of being the one that was like, again, he's kind of forming. He's like, I see everybody's potential around here. I just can't do this. I got too many problems in Gotham, but then something's going to happen which gets them all together, and then you kind of get to a Justice League movie. So same thing. But again, mine had a little bit more Green Lantern focus, but there's a reason for that down the line. Mm-hmm. So same thing. You're just Flash solo, Green Lantern solo, Batman solo, Wonder Woman solo, Superman solo. So the 5 of them have movies. The only other characters that you would find in them, I think, one thing I said was in the Flash movie, you do Ted Kord in the Flash movie. I think would be kind of cool. Just have him be another guy that was just around, like just another scientist that was there, just so you can get a Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie farther down the line. But those are like the core. You get the 7 together. And I think I said for the Superman movie, you get Martian Manhunter in the Superman movie, much like they were saying they were going to do with General Swanwick, which they paid off in the Snyder Cut. So not too much different.
Yeah.
It's just very simple. Once I get to the second part, that's when it starts to get a little cool.
It's like how they should have done it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
More or less, instead of rushing everything, like, you got to give people a reason to care about these characters. Like, that's a big mistake that they made, is they were like, hey man, they did the thing where they told us instead of showing us, and they were like, hey, Wonder Woman, right? Here she is. Mm-hmm. And they just expected everybody to be like on board with it.
Yeah, Aquaman. There he is. Yeah. He's Jason Momoa, so you don't make fun of him.
Yeah, and that's basically all they did. Like, they didn't do any true character building. Mm-hmm. They were just like, hey, you know this person. Get them while they're hot. And I could never get on board with that. Like, you don't, like I said, you don't have to do what Marvel did.
No, not at all.
And because what Marvel did wasn't altogether that special.
No, I'm in a big MCU rewatch where I'm rewatching the shows mixed with the movies in the chronological order. If I did the timeline order, my brain would explode. But the one thing that I even texted you, I said Marvel Phase 1 isn't all that incredible in terms of, like the content that was being pushed out. Like, if you look at a lot of people's MCU list, like Iron Man 2 and 3, Thor 1 are not in anybody's top 5 in their movies. They're just not. So that's 3 of the 5 movies that came out in your Phase 1 are like on the bottom half of most people's lists. Oh, my bad. Not Iron Man 3, but Iron Man 2 and Thor 1. Like, they're not in anybody's top of their list. So like, it's not insane, but they just kept it. It's incredibly simple what they did. It's very simple. Solo, team up. It was very simple. And just set stuff up. It's not, they weren't going out, they weren't being like, all right, Thanos is coming at the end of Iron Man, the Thor post-credit scene is going to be Thanos is going to be here with half the Infinity. No, they just said Incredible Hulk and Tony shows up and just like, I got an idea. Cool. Iron Man 2 post-credit scene, we want Iron Man, but we don't want Tony Stark. And then Loki comes back in the end of the Thor 1. Like, Captain America wakes up at the end of the first Avenger. Like, that's it. That's all they were doing. So, very simple, but it worked. And then you got your culmination with the Avengers, and then you were like, all right, there's this thing in the shadow, and he's just like, all right, I will be here, but just not yet. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you do it. And for the Justice League, when they're all put together. Like, I'm not touching Darkseid yet.
Nope. I said my Justice League movie would have Lex Luthor be the main villain of the first one.
I was just gonna say that too.
It's very simple. Just have Lex Luthor be the main villain. Have him be like...
I was between Lex Luthor and Vandal Savage.
Vandal Savage would have been a cool option too. That would have been a fun one to have. But I think Lex Luthor would be perfect. It's still the perfect comp for... Because a big thing that Marvel was doing, they were like, all right, cool, you have your Thors, your cat... Like, but... Listen, Iron Man's the main character. He just is. That's just the way that this is going. He's the main of main characters. Have Superman be the same thing. He's... Superman and Batman or Captain America and Iron... Like, they're the main characters in this whole thing. They just are.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you have to put... Like, in a perfect world, like, yeah, you'd want them to all be... You don't want them to all be equal, but you want people to relate to each of them in different ways. Like, you know, the MCU is perfect comp for this because not everyone's characters are this, like, everyone's favorite characters are the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, nobody's is like that. But you can't dispute that, like, Captain America and Iron Man are maybe the two most important characters of the Infinity Saga, but that doesn't mean that they're everyone's favorite.
Right.
It's because, and that's because they built all these other characters so strongly.
Yeah, it's an arc, but it's not. Again, it's the whole issue that people were saying about No Way Home before it came out. They were like, well, where's his arc is so... I'm like, it's a full... Arcs just don't need to take place in a movie or two. Like, it can be a whole franchise of your arc that happens. Like, Captain America from First Avenger to Endgame are two completely different... Like, their ideology and their, like, you know, their moral compass are kind of the same, but their events have happened to them to change different aspects of their life. Like, who would have thought that he would have lied to Iron Man about the Winter? Like, things like that. Like, that's not a good thing that he did. Like, but doesn't have this full out morality. Like, that's an arc for him. Tony going from the Ironmonger that he was fearing himself to become like Obadiah to the guy that sacrificed, the one that laid himself down on the line for the other man. Like, that's what an arc looks like. So that's kind of what I want the heroes to kind of go on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I totally agree with that. And the other thing, like, so I was very Batman focused with this because I want to not just do, because what we haven't seen Batman do in live action is what we potentially could have gotten from this Batgirl movie was expand the Batman averse. You know, like, everything that I would want to do with Batman, I'd want to keep it with Batman, aside from when he teams up with, like, the Justice League. Because the Batman mythos and stories are so rich that you can afford to do that. Like, you can afford to just do, like, have a Batman, you have the Batman 2, which I would hope, I don't know if they're going to do this, but what I would do is I would introduce Robin.
Oh, yeah,
the second movie.
Yep, and I wouldn't do it like, you should use your real name, Robin. I mean, like, actually have Dick Grayson be in this movie and lose his parents, and like
that would be my opening shot of that second Batman movie. Would be the flying Graysons at the doing the circus, doing the flips until they flip to their doom.
Yeah, you flip to their doom because maybe Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, so I would. That's how I would start, and then that lets you get. And he wouldn't be like a boy. No, like, he'd be young.
Yeah, but just have, like, he can be like 15 or something. Like, he doesn't need to be like that. Essentially, for me, like, Dick to me more is like his, like, little brother. Like, that's how I always have viewed it. Not as much as it's really.
And that works with Pattinson's Batman because he'd be youngish himself,
right? Like
a young man.
Like, I'm still trying to formulate myself, and like that would probably help with his development too. Of like, now I have to take care of somebody on top of this, like. This kid that's just trying to be on top of my crusade, like, I can't have this, like, but I could bring him in and try to train him my way. Like, that would be kind of cool. So I agree with you. Like, I wouldn't hold off on Robin. I would keep that going.
I would do that. And then, you know, third, the Batman is like a proper Batman and Robin, like, adventure. Because that's ultimately what, like, you do kind of want to get to the point where these movies feel like adventures of the superhero, but then things like happen. So like maybe between the second Batman movie and the third Batman movie, like, it's established that they've been on adventures together, and then this one is like the big one. And at the end of that movie, you have this Robin go, "Hey man,
I'm done.
I'm gonna go do my own thing." and then that's how you get Nightwing out of it. And then you do the Marvel thing, so you have him leaving, and then you have a post-credit stinger where he stumbles upon this punk kid stealing trying to steal a rim off the Batmobile, and that's Jason Todd, and that's how you get to the next thing with that Batman, and that, and then intersperse them in some Justice League stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't have to be like Batman and Superman team up for this movie, Batman and the Flash team up for just let Batman do his own Batman stuff.
Yeah.
And then, because like I said, the lore is so rich, and then when the Justice League comes a calling, you get him on board.
Right. And I think an important thing about that is the Bruce Wayne side of it too. Like, again, a big complaint about the Batman is he's not Bruce Wayne enough. I'm like, he's like 30. Like, he's not Bruce. He literally says multiple times in the movie, I do not care about being Bruce Wayne. I just don't. And for me, I took that as, I don't care about being Bruce Wayne yet, but Alfred keeps telling him, like, you need to keep this side of yourself alive. Because that's the thing that's truly going to save the city, along with, like, it needs to be a coupling of the two things. It can't just be one or the other thing. So that's a really good concept. So my piece was, after you hit that first Justice League movie, now you're kind of getting into... So, I've said it before, I like the way that Jonathan Hickman makes his stories. Like, he makes these stories, and Jeff John does it too. You make the story, right? And you have this 4-phrase front story. And then you also have just some things happening in the background that just simply won't pay off for... It could be years before these things pay off. So, the thing about Batman is the Grant Morrison run on Batman. Like, it got to the point where it like turned Batman into like an entity, which was kind of like an ideal that just like spanned space and time, which is kind of cool. So I kind of thought the same thing for like the crisis that keep happening. So cool, you get your first Justice League movie, then you get your next chunk, and then it's Infinite Crisis, and then you do Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then you try to destroy the multiverse, and then you get to Final Crisis would be the end. And then I had 2 epilogue pieces. But for Superman's case, you go the Brainiac route.
Yep.
You kind of... And now you introduce Supergirl. Like, you have Brainiac, you have Supergirl and Superman versus Brainiac. And I kind of want to see what they're doing, what I think they're going to do with kind of Hulk and She-Hulk. Like, have kind of Clark be a little like, what, this is it? Like, she's going to probably be a little bit more reckless, like a little bit more like, I'm going to kind of have a little bit more fun doing this. Like, I have all this power because, like, I'm not a baby coming here. I'm a teenager coming here. So, like, I have a little bit more, like... I'm getting acclimated to this, but I'm going to have a little bit more fun here. So maybe she steps in over her heads and, like, what you can possibly do if you don't want to keep, like, Supergirl around, like, maybe you can kill her. Like, you kill Supergirl. Like, I want these things to have weight to them. So, like, you start killing some of these central characters. Like, they don't need to be the main Justice League members, but you do have, like, these events that happen that do kill these characters. Like, obviously, like, the one comic panel of Superman holding Supergirl, like, I would want to pay that off. Like, that's a really good panel, which they did in the Arrowverse. They did do that panel, which is cool. But a couple other beats that I wanted to hit. So I wanted to have one of the most interesting stories is Tower of Babel. I love Tower of Babel because it plays on Batman's kind of his mental state, like this non-trustworthy person. Yep. So cool. You're kind of growing throughout the DC universe. Everything's happening. This would be like Justice League 2. So I kind of combined 2 stories for Justice League 2. So you're going to get your Aquaman movie. You're going to get all these movies. All these villains are going to start to, be like, these guys suck. They keep foiling our evil plans. So one thing that I mixed 2 stories. So it was Tower of Babel mixed with Justice. So Jim Krueger and the phenomenal Alex Ross made one of my favorite comics. So Justice it's complex, but it's pretty simple. It's just basically, the Legion of Supervillains are like, all right, we just can't have them doing this. So they make this incredibly intricate plot to destroy the Justice League, and it's starting to work. Like, Cheetah, like, scars... what does she do? She scars Wonder Woman with Centaur's blood, which is like... It's like a prolonged death, so, like, she feels herself dying. Superman, like, what happens to... Batman gets, like... mind controlled, so he literally has to put the lasso of truth around him so he won't, like, because that's the only way that his true self will be there. Like, it's like systematically, like, Sinestro traps Hal, like, in the ring, and like an infinite loop in the ring, so like he can't escape from it because it's just like infinite darkness. Like, there's no light for him to cling onto. Like, it's just a really incredible story. So I mixed that. Just the basic concept of, like, the Legion themselves coming together for the second Justice League movie to go against them. So what I want them to do is they're looking for something. And they're like, all right, where they start doing attacks all around the world. Like, same thing as Justice. Like, there's attacks all around the world. Cool. They need to go. They kind of separate. You have all these heroes going different places. It's like this big crossover event. Because I think Warner Brothers can handle that. Like, this massive crossover event with all these actors. But cool. They're all around. What are they looking for? They're looking for something. What they're looking for is they're looking because Lex Luthor found out that Bruce Wayne was Batman, and he had this theory on how to kill the Justice League, and one of them ends up getting killed in this, and that would be Barry Allen in this. He finds a way, and then you get into the Crisis stuff. But at the end, what I want it to be is like Batman leaving them, and it's just like, you're just not welcome here anymore. Like, you had this idea to kill us this whole time, and you just never told us. Like, they saved the day, but at what cost did you save the day? Much like Civil War did. Like, Civil War was the breaking of them before your big guy gets there. So yeah, that I thought it would be cool, like Justice and Tower of Babel in one movie. Like, instead of Justice ending on like, you know, the superheroes save the day, it would end on like, cool, they did save the day, but now we're exposed to everybody because of what Batman did to us. Like, our leader that we like chose for us because he's so smart. Like, look what you've done to us. I think that would be a really cool concept.
You know how I'm ending my second Justice League movie?
With Darkseid?
No.
How?
With Superman plunging his hand through the Joker's chest.
Oh,
I'm doing Injustice.
That would be kind of cool. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Wow.
Because at that point, I have established my Superman as heroic. We've done a Justice League adventure, and then my second Justice League adventure culminates. My second Justice League movie ends with the Joker detonating the bomb in Metropolis.
Wow, that's cool.
And then I'm doing Injustice as a Infinity War Endgame two-parter.
Wow.
Like, Injustice would be like my big Infinity. That's my Infinity War Endgame thing. Is Injustice.
That's a really cool concept. I kind of like that.
Yeah, because as much as they've done, as people have tried this evil Superman trope, no one's properly tried to do Injustice.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, I think for me it's a time thing too. Like, Injustice isn't
exactly
old,
but right, and but strike while the iron's hot, man. Mm-hmm. That's the most compelling I've seen the evil Superman, because you kind of get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the classic case of him he does like what the Punisher does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just takes it a bridge too far.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the special effects would have to be crazy, because I would want it to culminate in that infamous Superman from the regular universe versus Superman from the Injustice universe fighting each other. I don't know how you go about that, but that's how I would have to. Maybe I flip it and I do like a different Superman.
Ooh, like a already Superman like that we've seen before. That would be cool. Coming
over and being like, all right, enough. But there's enough in Injustice that you could play around with and kind of do a what if meets Multiverse of Madness, but with Injustice. Like, you take these established characters, but like do like horrible things to them. Mm-hmm. Like, you have what happens in Injustice? Heaps of stuff. Superman killing Green Arrow in the Fortress of Solitude. Mm-hmm. Like, you can do that and being like, holy crap, like, he killed Green Arrow. And then like you have the other timeline. Like, that's how I would kind of frame the first movie. Or like the first Injustice movie is framing both universes and establishing both universes. Cool. And that's and then the second part to Injustice would be Superman versus Superman. That's your big final battle.
That'd be kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I think so for me, this fallout from the Justice times Tower of Babel event, second movie, would be, I would want whatever my next movie would be, I think the next movie I would have would be my next thing that I want to get to is Blackest Night. That's the thing that I want to get to. Like I said, like how Jordan I
like this.
Yeah, like
you're going more like, you keep going like I'm staying kind of a little bit more like grounded, dealing with like the dimensions and stuff, and you're going like to like the cosmic stuff.
Yeah, like
I like this.
Right, because like another piece that I want to hit in this is like the new gods themselves, like people don't understand, like for DC Comics, like one thing that they have, like it's the concepts that they have, like the concepts of like Darkseid's more of like a idea than he is a being, but like that's why Darkseid can't die. Like he's like, because he's more than just a being. Like he's more than that. Like Darkseid will like survive whether the universe will like destroy itself or not. Like those types of things, like the ideas of like Orion, like the New Gods, Mr. Miracle, Big Bard, like all those things. Like I want to do Jack Kirby's Fourth World. That's what I really want to get into. Like just like Marvel did the Eternals, like I want to do that but bigger with the Fourth World. So you have Orion, you have Mr. Miracle. I always said there's two characters that I think would be, if I were ever to direct a superhero like show or movie, Mr. Miracle would be my DC one. That's my favorite. That's probably my second favorite comic book I've ever read. The Tom King 2017 Mr. Miracle that won the Eisner Award that year. It's phenomenal. It deals with a lot of the emotional trauma of being a hero and like the weight of what Scott Free has to go to. So I think a Mr. Miracle solo would be cool. Just setting up that character. But cool thing about the comic, like it does like a 9-panel structure on each page. Like each page is split into 9 panels, and like ever so often the panel will just be black and it'll say Darkseid is, and that's it. Like it'll just keep happening. And you're like, what the heck is happening? Like, this does not make any sense. And it's just like, you don't know if some of the things that he's thinking about are happening or not. Like, he goes to Darkseid, like, he has to lead, like, the forces of New Genesis against Darkseid. Like, they do the Darkseid war on top of him having a child, which is just incredible, because, like, they're literally, like, there's an incredible panel of, like, him, like, knees on the ground, just crying, like, after a battle. And then, like, the next panel is, like, him in the delivery room with his son, and then, like, the 3 of the Furies that are, like, his mortal enemies, but, like, their big Bard is, like, ants or whatever, so they're just there to support her having a child. Like, I love that type of, like, that's why I love Loki so much. Like, it's just this really big conceptual storytelling that just feels, like, relatable in a sense. So Green Lantern is a big piece for that. So I do want them to do the Descent of Hal Jordan. So I want them to start my first movie would be, like, Green Lantern. Cool. Have him face, like, the Manhunters or somebody. Don't do anything overly convoluted, but also you got to set up the idea of the Green Lantern Corps in the emotional spectrum. Because by the second movie, I think I did this in, like, a 4-part structure. So it would be his first movie. The second movie would kind of be, like, the destruction of Coast City, and he would kind of turn into this
Parallax.
Parallax, like the evil version of himself. And then the third movie would kind of be Rebirth, like the Green Lantern Rebirth. Like, that's why I think Glenn Powell could pull it off. Like, he could be such a jerk, but, like, you can feel like there's something a little bit more below the surface. And, like, for a long time, Hal Jordan was just the villain to be the villain, and then they realized, like, I'll never forget the first time I read Green Lantern Rebirth. Like, that's the feeling I'm talking about. Like, these triumphant heroes coming back from, like, the depths of the darkness. Like, that's what I wanted to hit. But down the line, this is kind of like what my Civil War would be like. All right, all these things are happening. Characters are on their arcs. Like, we're getting to this end, and something's happening. Like, what I wanted it to be, I wanted the Legion of Supervillains I wanted them to have a huge battle. Like, they would fight each other after Justice and be like, all right, well, you guys don't know what you're doing. Lex Luthor would escape. I think I said, who else do we have? I think I said, we're going to kill a lot of them. Like, Cheetah would die in that situation. Like, who else do we got? I think Deathstroke would escape, but it would be like a full-out fight for them to be like, all right, you guys don't know what you're doing. But then Sinestro would be like, I have a solution to all of these problems. Like, I can solve all of this. Like, and the way to solve it is to not solve it at all. We're just going to let the Black Lanterns come back. And they're like, what's the Black Lanterns? Like, you'll see. Like, we're just going to kind of infect the entire universe. Like, that's how we're going to do it. And my change is going to be, Sinestro's going to be like, and I'm going to lead this. Like, instead of it just being kind of like a zombie apocalypse, it would be like Sinestro's going to be like, I'm going to be able to control the Black Lantern.
I'm making this happen.
Yeah, like, I'm going to be able to control the Black Lantern. And, like, he's not. Like, what I wanted is, like, I wanted Sinestro to get a little bit of a redemption arc and, like, him die at the end of this and being like, I was a good man once that was a Green Lantern at one point. And sacrifice himself. But another thing I wanted to do was give Kyle Rayner a chance, have him be set up, and have Kyle Rayner and John Stewart both be Green Lanterns at this time. Like, you have two, just like you have Iron Man and War Machine, like, you have 2 Green Lanterns at this time. So yeah, Hal Jordan would be gone for a little bit. You'd have John Stewart be Green Lantern, and then you get to this is going to be a little bit down the line, but I want to hit the main point. So it's Rebirth to Sinestro Corps War, to Blackest Night to Brightest Day. Kind of that's the arc that I wanted for Green Lantern. It's just like, I want this like heroic ending to Hal Jordan at the end. Like he comes back and like there's an animosity between him and John, because John's like, you've been gone for a while, man. Like I've been with you were with the Justice League for a little bit. Like I've been with them for a while. Like things have changed. Like this isn't the same Justice League that you left. And also, you got to be careful because people don't love you right now. Like everybody kind of hates you right now. Coast City's gone. Like you, even if it wasn't you, you still did that. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Green Lantern's such a big piece of this for me. Another thing that I wanted to do was the Legion of Superheroes. I wanted to have this future flung team come back to the past and be like, hey, what's poppin'? You guys need to get your stuff together because something's gonna happen in the future, and you need to fix this right now, or nothing's gonna work. I also wanted a JSA movie with the Jeff Johns JSA team too. I think that would be really cool, and I do want them from Earth 2, and like that's the first introduction to the multiverse between the two of them. And then I want the fact that the two of them are together to create Infinite Crisis in that situation too. So yeah, we're going big. We're going big or going home.
I like it. I like these directions.
Yeah. Might as well take the big shots from these big storylines. And like you said, while this is happening, like I want Barry Allen to die during this. Like I want him to die and then come back later down the road when this is happening. I think some other characters that I had, like you're going to have the Suicide Squad during this. Like the Suicide Squad's going to be a thing. You are going to have... Actually, I want to save, because it was the thing that I was really proud about. This was my end bit I was really proud about. But what else? So I guess the two questions we got left is, what's the big thing, and then what's the fallout from that big thing?
I did think about this quite a bit, because like I said, doing Injustice is already a big thing, and like doing that in two parts. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I think I would spend a heap of time following Injustice, following Superman, getting to Darkseid, and then culminating, because I did forget to mention that in between my Batman and Robin kind of adventures, I'm doing Teen Titans.
Yeah,
so I'm bringing that, like Raven and Starfire and doing all of that, and kind of making the Teen Titans like its own thing, and keeping that with, like I said, having Robin leave at the end of the Batman to become Nightwing, but keeping the Teen Titans like together, because put a big circle around Raven, and we're gonna do Trigon.
Oh, Trigon's gonna be your guy.
Yeah,
cool.
Well, Trigon, and then if Warner Brothers continues to loan me money, I'm gonna end it with Apocalypse War, and then that's how I eventually will, because eventually you need your big like rebooting thing. So your big rebooting thing at the end of Apocalypse War is being like, hey, Flash,
help.
So that's where I would go with it, and I would reset, quote unquote, my continuity with Apocalypse War, and have the Flash run back through time and reset the status quo.
That's cool.
For the next however many years of movies after I'm retired, after I've made my billions of dollars.
Right. No, that's cool. I like that.
Like I said, so like kind of how you went cosmic at the end, like I'm shifting my focus to like Superman and Darkseid, like on
this collision course.
Yeah, the collision course between Superman and Darkseid. Because at this point, like coming off of Injustice, like Superman's been through the ringer. And now, whereas like Batman was kind of like my focus leading up to the first thing, Superman was my focus leading up to the second thing, carrying me through the second thing, and then Superman is like my big crux character propelling forward into the end.
I like that. I really like that. What was one thing I said? I wanted to hit some of the one thing that I wanted to hit in there too, and I wanted this to be more of like a show type thing, saying these big A-list actors would just be on TV shows, but we're
supposing a lot.
Yeah,
here.
we're supposing how I wanted Marvel to do this from the inception, since like the days of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where like who cares if you're on TV or a movie, it's all connected. Like I'm thinking more of a comic book. So I did say I was going to do Darkseid War. Because I wanted to play on and a thing I wanted to do in it was when they all turn into gods. Like I wanted to hit that piece. Like I really wanted to do that. But the thing I wanted to do about that, the full circle thing, is once Batman gets the Mobius chair, I wanted him to get the I wanted him to have a premonition of like the future that happens, and I want him to get like the dark side war. Like, all right, shoot, this is bad, but like something is coming, and the Anti-Monitor is the real thing that's coming. Like, that's the big, like, we are fighting for our lives against Darkseid, and he's just minuscule compared to the Anti-Monitor. So that's one thing I wanted to do. So essentially, it would be from Justice League 1 to I think I forgot to say in my Justice League 1, I do want them to fight Starro. I think it would be just dumb enough. Like, it would be. I want a little bit of that camp. Like, I think it works. Like, you just need the right amount of sprinkling in. Superman and Lois does it well. Like, you just need the right amount of it.
Yeah, so what the hell?
Like I do want them to fight Starro. I think that would be like a fun villain for them to fight. I do want it to be like Starro by Lex Luthor, though. That would make the most sense.
Yeah.
And then 2 would be Justice times Tower of Babel, to kind of break them a little bit. 3 would be Darkseid War, and then 4 would be Crisis on Infinite. I think I did say it would be called Final Crisis, but it would be Crisis on Infinite Earths mixed with Final Crisis. Because who doesn't love Superman singing to save the universe? That's a real thing that happened.
Yeah, I think Crisis is a legitimate endpoint because these things would go on in perpetuity.
Right.
But as far as like if you had to like do like a phase, like a multiple movie phase, like Crisis makes sense as one of those things to end with.
And you got multiple Crisis to pull from. You got Infinite Crisis, you
so
got
many
Final
Crisis happening.
You got Crisis on Infinite Earths. You have whatever this new Crisis, Dark Crisis, I think it's the new one's called. This is one thing that I just think would just be absolutely insane to do. I don't know why I can't remember the name, but the new Watchmen the Watchmen DC.
Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, Doomsday Clock would be absolutely amazing to do, because what I want to do is I want to make Superman this guy. He's just a guy. That's all he is. He's just this guy that works for a paper, that has a wife and possibly a kid. That's it. But then there's just this higher calling that he just can't escape from. Like, what I want to do, and this is why I brought up the Mr. Miracle thing, something's off. Like, there's just this little piece of the universe that's just off once in a while. Like, what I might do is, like, throw a version of a character that you thought you knew, like, just in there for a little bit, and just take them out. Like, little things keep happening that are wrong. And then at the end, you find out it is Dr. Manhattan that's doing all these things. Like, trying to get this perfect universe together, because he's seen it all. Like, he's already seen everything. He already knows this is going to come, and he's just like, the only thing that I don't know what's going on is Clark Kent's the only thing that doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. So I think I would do kind of like a Doomsday Clock, but that would be a tentative thing. I'm not. The concept is cool, but the execution might be a little confusing for some people, because the Watchmen itself is pretty bombastic. So to go the step farther to make them, have Dr. Manhattan be the guy that does all this would be pretty insane. But so this is the thing. You get your Darkseid War, cool. We already know what a big crossover looks like, where you pay off all these homages to everything. It's cool. You had fun. Great. There's 2 things that I wanted to do out of this. I wanted to do Kingdom Come. That was the big...
I was going to ask you about that.
This is the big thing that I would be super proud with. I just imagine Henry Cavill's Superman as Kingdom Comes. Like, that's just who that is to me. Like, just this hope, like, this far future where these heroes, their ideals have changed, and, like, they're just killers, and, like, if you really wanted to, you can, like, incorporate, like, the social media age into, like, the actions of these new heroes. Like, that's probably what it would be like. Like, they would just do a lot of things for the sake of, popularity. And just have these kind of killers running rampant, and Superman hasn't really aged much. Batman's an old man, old Bat Pattinson. Just have these old versions, but just have them just bestow upon them. And this is the thing about the DC heroes, like that truth, justice, and the better tomorrow. Like, this is what they need to strive towards, and like the whole biblical aspect on as the undertone for that book was amazing, but. The thing I really want to end on, because I said Superman, he's the guy. You know what I mean? That's him. This is the hero that every hero is based off of. It's Superman. Whether you want to deny it or not. Most of your superheroes, like the ones with powers, like that's who they're all trying to be like. So you ended on All-Star Superman. That's what I really want this to be. And I think I mixed the Flash Rebirth. Like, I infuse storylines into All-Star Superman. So you know how he goes on the trials? Like, I wanted it to be kind of how they handled Arrow Season 8. Like, have these things culminate to what I wanted it to be, like, a universe reset with, like, cool, the next person that, after I die, because this thing's going to take 50 years to do, can do whatever they want after this. So I wanted, like, Flash to come back, like Barry Allen's Flash. So essentially the story would be, the trials would be to reform the Justice League for the new age. Like, that's what I wanted this to be. So, like, he needs to, like, do stuff, like, he needs to go through a trial, and then once he passes this trial, boom, Barry Allen, like, his good friend Barry Allen's back. Like, he's back, he's alive. Cool. Bruce Wayne, like, he goes and, like, it could be a World's Finest situation where the two of them are together, and, like, he's just like, he wakes up and it's just like, Batman's back in my age, how's that possible? And they go on a World's Finest tour, and cool, like, he, like, helps Batman, like, say, like, it's okay. Like, I think that's something Batman needs, is to say to, like, it's okay.
Yeah,
you did everything you could do. Like, you don't understand how many people's lives you saved during this. But, like, that same concept, like, having, like, that's the main thing, like, the reformation of this new Justice League in a new timeline at the end, and then, like, they just ride off into the sunset. So, All-Star Superman, give him the multiple Superman coming back. Bring all the Superman back. Every single Superman that's ever played Superman, bring them back. But, yeah, I think it would be cool just mixing kind of, like, that with All-Star Superman into, like, maybe even, like, elements from Final Crisis, from Grant Morrison's Batman run, because that Batman run essentially is, like, it's so much bigger than just a Batman story. Like, it's like Batman being, like, a bat god, essentially. Like, that's the best way to explain it. Like, all these things culminating to, like, they'll all follow Superman into the sun.
Yeah.
Icarus style.
I like that a lot. That's a good way to end it, I think.
And, like, just have, like, the 7 and, like, do the sunshine shot from Justice League Unlimited in the credits. Like, do that at the end.
Yeah.
Just have all of them, like, the League, like, that's the Justice League, Prime Justice League standing there, ready to face whatever new threat in this new timeline that's created. Don't do a post-credits stinger.
No, just end it.
Just end it.
End it like Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
You just end it.
That's it.
I like that a lot. That was fun.
That was fun. Any characters I have some characters that I still wanted to hit in here.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I talked about the Teen Titans a little bit. I needed to get them in there. Talked about... I do think I would want to do something with the Watchmen.
Yeah, I think the Watchmen would be a great concept. It'd be a break from, like, the DC.
I think I would just do it on its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, here's this.
Yeah, it'd be like, this isn't in the same universe, but, like, it isn't in the same universe. Wink, wink. It's not, but maybe something's gonna happen. Yeah,
I mean, there's heaps that I would that I would say are implied that, like, I haven't talked about, like Green Arrow, Deathstroke, the Suicide Squad. You know. The litany of Batman villains.
Yeah, right. For me, I said in here, Court of Owls is a thing that needed to happen in there. Like, it's the conspiracy behind Batman as a character. Would be cool. I said Static Shock. I think Static Shock
is a great one.
It would be more of, like, a fan favorite type of thing to have in there, like a character that people would just fall in love with.
Oh, I know one that I would do.
What's
Batman
that?
Beyond.
Oh, yeah, Batman Beyond would be cool. Well, that was the thing I said about the Legion. Like, the Legion presents its own set of heroes in that, because Wonder Woman's not going to age, so she'll be the same age. I think I said, when I was thinking about this, I said I wanted Wonder Woman to be the villain of the Legion movie, like a twisted version of because we always see a twisted version of Batman, but we never see a twisted version of, it is in the new, I think it's in Rebirth, they just did it, I can't remember the name of the story, but it's the future. It's like the daughters and sons of the Justice League come back, and, like, Superman and Wonder Woman have a kid, but, like, Superman, it's their son, but, like, Superman dies, but they won't accept him on Themyscira because he's not a woman. So they kind of, like, he's like, so I wasn't accepted here and I wasn't accepted here, so I kind of hate you. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I wanted from the Legion. Like, I wanted, like, that Superman's son and Wonder Woman's son to be, like, the leader of that Legion team and be like, my mom's crazy now and she just went off the rails. Like, that would be kind of cool.
Because as much as we've seen so many different iterations of all these other characters in the history of everything, there's only ever been one Terry McGinnis.
Yeah.
And it's been Will Friedle.
Yeah, it was.
He's been the only Terry McGinnis ever.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Put to any type of animation, obviously we've never seen Terry McGinnis in live action. I would need to get Terry McGinnis in something.
That'd be cool. I think I said if I'm gonna do Teen Titans, I said the Judas contract is like that's the only thing. Like I want to make them to break them, so it's like it's these kids that are way in over their head that have to deal with Deathstroke. I said in there I wanted, like I said, Court of Owls was a big one. It's just the Crisis was like a big piece for me, like doing all those Crisis, and then again the one that it's the New Gods. Like I wanted to set the Justice League in the New Gods on like a quote unquote collision course because they would have to work together in the end. But I want these big grandiose DC stories to kind of culminate to something, and like and it's not, and it's more of, like I said, it's more of like the understanding of what these heroes are versus like the physical threats that they're actual fighting. So yeah, that's the DCEU, and then throw Shazam in there.
We did it.
Everybody likes Shazam.
We did it. We fixed it.
Yeah, we fixed it.
We solved it.
Yeah, and this isn't like we weren't writing like a sonnet on like a 85-page paper on the restructuring, because if I could do that, I would do that. That would be fun. But then I wouldn't want to get paid, and this actually happened. Because then, if you gave me time and opportunity, then we would have some fun going through these I was flipping through some of my comics I had yesterday. I was like, that would be kind of cool to do in live action, like things paying off way down the line, like you can kill Batman, like do the final crisis or the Infinite Crisis thing, right, where you kill Batman, but Batman never died. He just got thrown into the past. So that would be a cool mission for the Legion to go. You know what would be cool for me? If that was the Legion mission, so after that you do the Legion of Superheroes, and like Wonder Woman's the villain, but we don't know how to defeat her, but there was one person that did, and it was Batman, and they were like, Batman's dead. He's like, no, he's just in the past, but we need your help to go get him. We go get him, we bring him back to the past, he kills that future Wonder Woman.
That'd be cool.
Then he goes back to current Diane, he's like, oh, you better not. Don't do it.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to hit in there. I mean, there's so many Batman stories Batman ideas that I'd want to hit. The League would be cool. Green Arrow and Black Canary would be a big like street level piece.
Well, that's why I said like I wanted Batman to be like my focus because I want Batman to almost be like its own franchise, because there's so much you can do with it. But also, while Batman is happening, like all this other stuff is happening, and then he just kind of like jumps in and out until eventually, like I said, I get to Injustice, and Batman becomes such a core focus of Injustice because he's like the only like one. But then he kind of goes one way. Like it's like Captain America: Civil War, but on steroids. Yeah, is basically what Injustice is.
That's a really awesome idea is to have, because like I didn't think you were gonna say like who's ever thinking to put Injustice in a main continuity universe. Like that's insane. Yeah,
because it's compelling to me because, like I said, movie-wise, you've built Superman up to this point, to the point where that turn happens at the end, and you're like, and like you just get to, I would say, like smart fans would know, but like I would end that second Justice League movie with the Joker has shown up in Metropolis, and people like in the theater are like, oh no.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like, didn't even need to be like, it would be like a cool post-credit scene. Like, he's at the Bugle and they're just like, Joker's at some facility in Metropolis, and like, oh god, he's gonna do it.
And then you end the movie with the
Christopher Nolan's the Joker in this. He's got the dude.
And you end the movie with Superman punching his whole hand through the Joker's chest, and you're like,
ah, crap. Crap.
Superman will return. But yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. Green Lantern. Read that Jeff Johns arc. It is glorious. It's like, it's such an expansive, like the Green Lantern Corpse piece in itself is great. Hal Jordan's arc is great. Kyle Rayner's cool. Like, it's just some good stuff that they do in that.
Well, we might need to collab on the Injustice movie.
Yeah.
Because you have all the Green Lantern stuff. And Green Lantern's a pretty integral part of at least the beginning of, like, the beginning of, like, Injustice.
Yeah, maybe that, what if we were to combine all of our concepts right now? Because Green Lantern essentially, like, what did I say? The second piece would be Rebirth, or no, it would be the descent of Hal Jordan. So, like, one of the big fixings is out of this Injustice would come the Blackest Night. Like, ah, crap. We don't got nobody to, like, it would be cool if Necron's like, well, they don't, it's the same thing that they were doing with Superman in the DCEU. Like, all right, Superman's dead, now Darkseid can come. Like, same thing, like, Necron can, like, come out, because it's like, there's no Justice League to defend anybody. Like, there's no Hal Jordan to defend anybody, like, this so-called greatest Lantern, so, like, we're gonna take over everybody. Pretty cool. Give everybody the lantern rings. Give everybody the cool lantern rings.
Oh, man. There you go.
There
DC, if you're listening.
Mm-hmm. This is it. Do Green Lantern. What did he do? Do Green Lantern.
What did he do?
Ryan Reynolds said sorry. We're good.
We don't need Ryan Reynolds, though.
No. It's Glenn Powell or I walk. It's Glenn Powell.
He's putting his foot down.
Yeah. It's Trevante Rhodes as John Stewart. Who did I say is Guy Gardner? I had somebody that everybody hates. No. Did I say
Jared Leto?
Yeah, Jared Leto. No. I forget who I said for Guy Gardner, but I think I said...
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith's my Constantine, by the way.
Oh my god, that would be so good. That'd be great. And he has to do the dance regardless of what movie he's in. I love that. And then... I forget who I had for Kyle. I think it was a newer actor I had for Kyle Rayner. I'll remember it. But the big piece, because I talked about Dylan O'Brien, it was American Assassin that did it to me. He's got the scot-free thing where, like, because a big piece of it is the mental health aspect of it, of, like, the toll it's taking on him. Like, the comic he tries to end his life at the beginning of the comic because, like, the whole concept of, like, Mr. Miracle is, like, he can escape from anything, but the one thing he can't escape from is life. Like, he can't, like, he's a new god, so, like, he can't do it. Like, he can't kill himself. So, like, that would be a really interesting concept. I just see him as scot-free. Yeah. That would be a really cool one. And, like, the thing it's doing is, like, you're having this really intricate story and this really, like, this kind of smaller story in terms of, like, not smaller story, but, like, more intimate story in terms of the emotion, but, like, there's just something that's happening. Like, something keeps happening in the background of the story that's, like, growing larger and larger, and then you realize the thing is Darkseid. Like, Darkseid comes to his son's birthday party and he's eating baby carrots. Like, it's my favorite thing. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I'm starting with the Batman because I want people to look at my universe the way they look at the MCU. Like, dang, isn't it crazy that we started with the Batman and we ended with Apocalypse War?
Right. What else do I want to do? I'm trying to think if there's any other cool things that I want to do. What DC comics have I been reading? I know for Flash, it's like you got to do the Rogues. You got to get the Rogues right. Wentworth Miller's the only Captain Cold, no matter what. Have him be a Nexus being. He's the only Captain Cold.
I hate fire.
You guys were out of marshmallows. I checked.
I can't wait to do that Flash episode because I'm just going to talk about Wentworth Miller for about...
Oh, it's going to be great.
30 minutes, at least.
He's the best. Man, they were really doing their thing on the Flash.
There are no strings on me. Nailed it. All right.
You got to do the Roy Harper thing.
The drug thing?
Yeah.
Fair.
Got to do it.
I'll work it in.
Yeah. Maybe have him, whatever, if you're doing your universe, whatever drug the drops, have Roy Harper addicted to drops, and then do the thing. Yeah, you know what I want to add? Do the Green Lantern Green Arrow thing, because it would have a cool dichotomy between like this guy that's got a bow and arrow and this guy that can just make a train with his mind. Like, it'd be great that they're just pals. Have Bart Allen come back to him in the future and be like, "Do you guys mind not mucking everything up?" It'd be great.
There's so many things that we can do.
Yeah, that's the thing about DC. Why it's so great. They have such great a blueprint. It's so incredible, the blueprint they have for all these characters. They have the speedster, like they have the speedster, they have the all-man, they have the all-woman, they have the guy that wants to be like them, but he just can't, that broods. They got it all. They got Martian Manhunter. Everybody loves Martian Manhunter.
Oh, before I go, they call me the Martian Manhunter.
Ben Affleck was just on set like... Nice.
Oh, that's my favorite part of that whole movie.
That just sums up his Batman so well, where he's just like, cool. Just take your ID card at the door and just see you later.
That's my favorite part of that whole movie.
Jeez.
Oh. Some call me Martian Manhunter. Batman's like, yeah, great.
Yep. Gotta do Dark Knight Returns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With old man Robert Pattinson?
Old man Robert Battenbat.
Just when they pull me out, they pull me back in.
Yeah. Oh, imagine old man Robert Pattinson. That'd be great.
That would be great. Oh man, that was fun.
All right. Fun.
What have you been doing? I've been reading comics?
Yeah. Well,
and watching the MCU still?
Well, right. So that's the big thing. I've been rewatching the MCU, and you're probably going to hear this for the next couple of weeks. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
So I'm doing it in the release order. The chronological order would have been too much, But so I'm doing it, and I'm doing the shows. That's the big piece. I'm doing the shows.
Which is insanity.
Yeah, so I just finished Daredevil at like 3 a.m. last night. It's the best thing that they've done up until this point. There's no if, and, or but. Oh my god, Charlie Cox is just revolutionary as Daredevil, Matt Murdock. It's the subtleties that he has at that character that are just inspired. It's so insane to watch that and just think that this is a part of the MCU. And I'm trying to do this thing where like I'm fitting everything into continuity that makes sense. And thank God they did Comic-Con before I did this rewatch, because now everything makes more sense. And the big piece is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for that. Like, that was the one thing that wasn't making sense until the Kang stuff. And I'm like, all right, this makes a little bit of sense now. That, like, they can still be in the MCU. It's just once whatever happened in season 5 happened, the universe, the universe split. Like, now they were always on a divergent timeline. Mm-hmm. So there's probably a version of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that are in the MCU, and then there's the version that's not because of that. So, yeah. We're on Ant-Man now. So
nice.
Just way to go from Daredevil to Ant-Man.
Ants.
What's the name of Thor's hammer? Meow Meow? Jonathan? You gotta love Paul Rudd. I actually like Ant-Man quite a bit. The openings, I like
it's
the
fun.
opening. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It feels slightly different. I don't know how to explain it. It feels the first half at least feels a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good stuff. And then it's Jessica Jones. I just know I'm going to have a big TV show run, and then I'm going to have the Infinity War piece, there's a big movie run in that time. Like, it's like the 2018 to 2021 part. There's because
most of the shows were done.
Right,
by
and
then.
that was around the time they were all getting canceled, sadly. But we still got Daredevil Season 3.
And we're getting Daredevil Born Again. Can't wait for him to look at the camera and be like, that's the thing, Foggy. I'm born again. Dun dun.
Daredevil theme intensifies. Keep the Daredevil theme. Don't change it. Don't even think about it. Don't think about not having.
Don't try it.
Don't try it. We don't have to do the theme song. Don't try it. So yeah, I think it's.
You underestimate Alan Silvestri.
No. So it's on Ant-Man, and then I'm gonna watch Jessica Jones season 1. So Purple Man.
David Tennant.
Oh, man. He makes his parents stab, or he makes his mom stab herself. That guy's ruthless. Jeez. Thought Thanos was bad?
He's the real Purple Man.
He is the real Purple Man. And then it's Agent Carter after that.
Okay.
Which I think I've never seen all the way through now that I think about it. So this will be the first time I'm watching Agent Carter.
Ah, cool.
Who pops up quite a bit in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1 and 2. She is in there. Season 2 specifically, she's in it. She makes like 4 cameos in that season. So
yeah.
And then she got cut in half by the Scarlet Witch. We're not afraid of your little witch. You should be. I'm going to wait for my friends to come back. They're not coming back, Chief.
Mordo, what were you doing, bro?
Sam Raimi, never change.
Reed Richards, smartest man alive.
Are you sure about that?
Is he, though?
He will be. He's going to be Reed Richards, right?
Oh, you're back on board?
Yeah. You saw the Fallon interview?
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he, like, in a blue suit? Interesting. I don't think Emily Blunt will be, though.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
But I think my guy from Outer Banks is going to be Johnny Storm. Cillian Murphy. Accept the call. Be Dr. Doom.
Apparently that's done. That's a done deal.
What?
Dr. Doom.
Like
supposedly.
They know who's going to... We don't know, but they know.
Yeah.
Please be killing.
Jared Leto.
No. Ezra Miller.
No, even worse.
Or is it better?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
At least Jared Leto's not committing felonies.
That we know of.
Doesn't that make him the best Doctor Doom?
Yeah, you're making a great point.
What have I been doing?
Yeah.
You know what? I started fresh last night.
Oh yeah, I know, but tell the people.
You do know. I have jumped back into Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh my god.
Because I did not play the new expansion when it released.
Iki Island.
Yeah, I never played it, so I'm starting fresh, new game on the lethal difficulty mode.
So you just don't like yourself?
No, it's actually super fun because I feel like it's like the most immersive experience.
I'm a samurai now, officially.
I'm a real samurai now because
samurai.
like you do like your deflect and then bing bing and people die, but also you die if that happens. So I'm having that game.
It's so beautiful.
Good. It's
the screen grabs that we were pulling when we first played that game.
I posted on Twitter last night the clip that me and you talk about all the time, and I said this might be one of the best hero introductions in any video game ever. When he unsheathes the sword and the music hits.
Oh my gosh!
And he turns around and like you see like the glint of his eyes in the sword, and that's all you see are his eyes. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
that show is coming or movie. It's a movie, right?
Yeah. Should be coming soon.
Is that an HBO Max thing?
No, it's Sony.
It's Sony. That's right.
Right.
The Sony universe.
Sony universe.
The Sony universe of movies and TV shows.
We're getting an El Muerto movie.
That's what I mean. I don't know why DC's so afraid of things. Sony's just like, yo.
Sony's like, Bad Bunny's popular. You want to be El Muerto? You want to be the famous one comic El Muerto?
How's Batgirl getting canceled, not getting released, but Sony released Morbius twice?
They did release Morbius twice. They're releasing El Muerto.
And they weren't even ashamed of it.
No. More Matt Smith dancing. That's what we need.
And also stop asking Matt Smith about Morbius.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He knows what that movie is.
Did you see what he said recently? He was like, hey, people didn't like it. It happens.
Yeah. Matt Smith. Add Matt Smith to the board. The whiteboard we most definitely do have.
Yeah.
Gotta love Matt Smith.
Yeah, that's about it.
That game is just...
I love it.
It's one of my favorite games I've ever played.
I love it so much. Yeah, I'm
Do you have a job? Yeah, I'm a samurai. Don't ask me stupid questions.
I love that game so much, and we got a little bit more than a month until The Last of Us re-releases. The Last of Us remake. That's a cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we get that in September, and then we get God of War Ragnarok in November.
Yeah.
And I've been holding on to my God of War replay through, and I'm so excited to go back to that game also. Yeah. So that's going to do it for us this week. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this episode. You can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. Warner Brothers, if you're listening, you can find us there so you can farm our ideas, but pay us.
Yeah, please just bring us in. Like, I hope they do it like they do in Interstellar, where he shows up to the facility, and they blindfold him and bring him in and be like, hey, I don't think you know what this is. This is NASA. This is Warner Brothers.
Oh no, I'm in the water tower.
I'm in the water tower. Wait, are all your offices in water towers?
Are those the Animaniacs?
Incredible.
You can follow us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram
at the Project Infinite Pod.
Thank you very much. You can find us on every podcast platform: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts.
Your grandma's radio.
Every bit of that. And thank you, as always, to everybody who listens and downloads and all that.
Appreciate it.
It's great.
Yeah, tell everybody.
Yeah.
Tell the guy that's ringing you up at the grocery store.
The pilots and earlier episodes are still getting downloads.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting that, so that was cool.
So we've only gotten better since then.
Yeah, we're doing great things. Yeah.
Especially if you listen to that one episode that I posted a few months ago.
Yeah, when I most definitely wasn't sick. And we had to use an emergency episode. That never happened.
Next week...
Same thing. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
We're gonna have some fun.
Maybe Jurassic World?
Nope. I think we're beyond that. We gotta wait till like 20 years in the future where they reboot Jurassic World, and then we can do Jurassic World.
Jurassic World Dominion. The review. It's happening next week. I promise.
Just like Batgirl, it's happening.
Yeah, that's how I'm gonna open.
We canceled it. Oh no.
We canceled the Jurassic World episode.
No, maybe we're the monsters.
Oh man.
Next week, yeah. Maybe we do some Marvel stuff. Maybe we do some DC stuff.
Maybe we do Sandman.
That's a possibility. I can read a little bit of Neil Gaiman. If you guys haven't read anything that Neil Gaiman's ever done, that guy knows how to craft a story really well.
Does.
He did a great run. He did the definitive Eternals run, in my opinion. He did a lot of great work. Obviously, Sandman's his thing. Guy's good. Guy's great.
Yep.
So, could be that. Could be the Fantastic Four thing I've been trying to pitch for weeks. I really want to talk about those first two movies. And how... Can I get a dun dun dun?
Dun dun dun!
I don't think they're as bad as people think they are.
I could buy that.
They're not as different than these superhero movies as people want to think they are. They just came out in 2005 and 2007.
Right. Man.
That's crazy that movie was 1 year away from Iron Man 1. Oh my god.
I know, because Fox was like, we'll never give you the Fantastic Four. Marvel was like, just you wait.
Yeah.
I'll get that Fantastic
Where did
Four.
this bring you? Back to me.
I'll get that Fantastic Four if it's the last thing I do. But then Sony's like, we still have Spider-Man.
We have El Muerto. You're never getting El Muerto. And then Sony's and Marvel's like, can I have half? There's probably some MCU joke of Tony Stark saying something about losing the kids in the divorce that I probably just watched. I have a lot of Marvel content in my brain, so it's getting foggy up there. Mixed with this DC run, I was like last night just flipping through DC comics that I had. That was crazy. That was fun. That's where I got that Justice idea from. I
like that a lot.
That was a Tower of Babel. If you did this, is the last thing I'll leave you guys with. Go on YouTube, type in Batman Tower of Babel, and listen to Kevin Conroy, because he actually did a voiceover for Tower of Babel, and he literally breaks down how to kill each and every single member of the Justice League. It's awesome.
It is really awesome. Yeah. The what is it called? The Agamemnon contingency, something like that.
Right. Yeah. And I just imagine Robert Pattinson being like, "Yeah, I knew how to kill you guys this whole time." So I'm Bruce Wayne, and I should probably just go to therapy instead of dressing up like a bat. You're out of your mind, Bruce Wayne.
We gotta go.
We gotta go, man.
We did it again.
Yeah, that's like our Apollo Theater like booing is just you gotta go. We gotta go, man. Jeffrey Wright.
The Kevin Feige of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Take it. Yeah,
because you built this whole universe.
I was gonna give you Jeff Johns, but can't do that anymore.
Nope.
Can't do that anymore.
Oh yeah, next week we'll figure it out. Yeah. Until then, from me, from Court, we will see you next week in the next extension of the multiverse.
Mm-hmm. It keeps expanding.
Always.
Always.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Peace.